I'm in Luxembourg. Hello, friends. I'm in Luxembourg and the earth is flat. I'm going to wait for some people to turn up. There's Sven doing his first setup. Jack finishing it off. Hello. You speak English? No.
Oh.
When people say, when you ask them in English.
Yeah, he's asked them to speak English and they say no.
And they say no.
You were interested, you had a look. What was there? What was your curiosity? Right there. We all are normal people with families. Your English is fine. Your English is great. Do you speak German?
No.
Dutch. Don't you speak German and English very well if you're Dutch?
Well, we've just set up here in Luxembourg. We had a bit of a late start. A late start because Jack was repairing the broken window. Jack was repairing the broken window and did a fantastic job. It has maintained its integrity. Hello.
Hello.
Do you speak English? Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
You are from this
Group? Yes. Yeah.
What? My English is not so good.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
You are again bezielt
Well,
global
yes.
globale Lüge.
Yes.
Yes. What means that?
It means that we think that the globe is a deception, that the idea that we can live on a spinning ball out in the vastness of space is just science fiction. We've not been able to evidence that, prove that, other than with evidence we've been given from NASA and maths.
Oh, it's too
Quick.
difficult to me
Okay.
to understand. I tried in my words. Maybe I'm not.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Is your meaning is that the idea of one globe together and so on is a lie?
Yes.
Yes, I believe that
Yes.
too. So
You believe that too?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Shake my hand.
Yes, good.
Shake
Yes,
my
I
hand.
think here is a lot of lies. That's the reason because I look at it.
Yeah.
In our country, in Germany, it's not. If you put something like that,
Yeah.
people would total against you. You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, what is this?
This is YouTube.
And I'm on YouTube
Yeah.
now. Oh.
You don't mind, do you?
You can.
You don't mind?
Now I'm not.
You're not famous in Luxembourg, or
No, I'm from Germany.
yeah?
No, you hear?
You're
yeah.
here on holiday.
No. I'm busy a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So we say that water is level.
The water.
Water is sea level,
Yes.
ocean level,
Yes.
and Earth is 70% water.
Yes.
So we say all of that is one level of water, and all the rocks are
Yes.
continents are inside of that one body of water. The sun and the moon are small, and they travel above our heads every day. And we've been told this story about heliocentrism, about Earth going around the sun. We've been told this
You do
because
not believe that?
No, not at
you
all.
think the Earth is something like that, or?
yeah, we think that
Ah,
Earth is all like this, planes. Gas
That-
is lighter.
I heard
heavier
about that. That I not believe. So,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
all right.
So,
So you think that there's a lot of other lies in the world?
yes,
There's a
I
lot
think
of
a lot of political lies, a lot, and also I think it's not possible to make one Earth freedom. For me, that is a ideal dreaming, but a lot of people take this dream
Yeah.
and make politics with that.
Yes.
To put the control the people.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I think, and
Yes.
so and also in Europe too. The Europe idea is for me here in Luxembourg, Brussels, and so on. They want to control
Yes.
everything here.
Right.
Yes.
The whole of Europe. Yeah, they
Yes.
want to control it all.
And so I not believe that.
So
and
you don't.
and I hate it in a way because I think the each state has for themselves good ideas what they want to do.
Yeah.
And not from somewhere there
Yeah.
all equal.
Could we
Yes.
say that the ideal would be for you to rule yourself? that you don't need any government to tell you what to rule.
No, I'm not anarchic. That's an anarchic idea. I don't believe that too, because a lot of people has no idea what is right or wrong, and so and you can see when they put their sign for politics, they think what is good for me, but it's not the question. The question is not what is good for me. What is good for the community, from the part of where I live now. Yes, that is my idea. Yeah.
So, do you trust politics? Do you trust the political process or the political system?
In the ground, I trust that. Yes, but I think
at the government level,
the governments do wrong. A lot of. I think democracy is a good thing, but it's how they do it. It's not good.
The way it plays out,
yeah, like that. Yes.
Yeah, because I say to people, like, we choose left wing or we choose right wing politics, but it's the same creature. It's the same bird. So it's always just the left wing flaps or the right wing flaps, but the bird keeps flying in the same direction, and that bird is designed to take control or keep control from the people. You see, I'm not an anarchist, although the word anarchy means self-rule. It means that there's no need for a king or a queen to stand above you and tell you what to do. I accept that in our world today, people are so lost. People are so their mind is in such a bad way that they need somebody to tell them, a master, to tell them what to think.
Yes, in all of the situations are very complicated.
Yeah.
The political is very complicated, and if everything is together with everything, you have to know what is in Greece happen, what is in Turkey happen, what is in USA happen.
Yeah.
You have to know all the things to understand all this. No?
Yeah.
But it's many people are. I for myself, since around 8 years, I'm very interested in that, and here and YouTube and wherever I try to understand more about all the things. But the most people don't do that. Yes.
Well, what if? Have you ever considered the possibility? I used to be really into politics, right? I voted, I worked for government and stuff like that. But what if I was to suggest to you that all governments in the world operate under one umbrella, like they're controlled by the same power?
There are ideas. I heard about that. That's top. Yes, I heard about, and I have to look if it's wrong or right. It's a hard idea. It's
a bitter pill,
that,
yes.
Because
the wars,
makes you very much effect of all this. Yes. So it's not nice to believe that. Yes.
Yeah. So not only do I think that the left and the right wing of politics of one country is controlling this by the same bird, but I think that the politics of the world is controlled by the same beast. And that means that Russia and Germany and America and England were never really at the top level, the top table. They were never enemies. They were always in the same room saying, let's go to war with you, let's create a war over there, let's create a conflict over there, and use that conflict as a means of exercising more control over people.
It looks like that.
Yes.
Yes, I think so too.
All right.
But I hope it's in the end that it's not true. But I think so too.
Do you think that once upon a time religion was also used in the same way to control people?
Yeah, it did it for thousands of years. Yes. So why not continue
today? Yes, but because people got tired of religion and got upset with the priests stealing their money, they had to come up with a new way of controlling people. So
socialism is
democracy or socialism or capitalism or even communism as a way of saying to the people, here's a better model. And it's going to be better for the people. It's going to help you, etc. But if you look at all of these models, all of them have left the people poorer and have left the people with less control, and with the people at the top who are meant to be looking out for you, making more rules to control your movement, to tax you, to minimize.
Yeah, sure.
So this is what religion is.
That's what I believe too, because you can see it everywhere. In my place, I have a person. He believes socialism in a low level, but his mind is totally fixed in that idea. Yeah. And it's like when it is a picture, he has this. Out of them, he won't not look at. Yes. Only inside. Everything was put inside, and I cannot. If I speak about different things with him, he
shuts down. Yeah.
yeah.
So, yes.
And he leave me if you don't,
Well.
because he has no argument.
Yeah. So have you heard the expression "all roads lead to Rome"? Have you heard that?
All roads
Lead to Rome. To Rome, to Vatican, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's say in the world today there are 3,000 different religions, but Rome doesn't mind that there's 3,000 religions because all of them are under the Rome wing. They all kind of come under that control of Roman.
Yes,
So
the highest of Rome, this one, I think is very clever.
So they don't mind whether you're Seventh-day Adventist, whether you're Jehovah's Witness, whether you're Roman Catholic, whether you're Protestant, because actually even the Reformation was counted, and they just allow a little bit of freedom. They'll allow a Malcolm X or some kind of character to stand up and say, I'm going to lead the people in a good way, and then over time they just bring that organization under the control of the system. That's the way I see it. And so when it comes to the religion losing control, they had to find new ways of controlling people. And because they didn't believe in God or this version of their version of God, they came up with, in my view, this science as a way of saying to the people, this is where you come from. You no longer come from God. You come from this monkey, from Big Bang, from evolution, all these sorts of things, as a way of breaking the people down and keeping them slaves. And because I don't trust any of the government authorities anymore, I don't trust NASA. Because NASA is really a government authority. NASA is the National Aeronautic and Space Agency in America. They're the ones who went to the moon? The moon landings? You know moon landings? Yes?
Yeah.
Neil Armstrong? Okay. Their organization is called NASA.
Ah, okay.
And it was started by Nazis.
NASA.
Which sounds like Nazi, right? NASA. Yeah, and NASA.
NASA.
Yes. Yeah. Apparently it means to deceive in Hebrew. But actually the NASA was started by Werner von Braun, the rocket program, he was a Nazi scientist under an operation called Operation Paperclip after World War II. The Americans brought thousands of top German rocket
they
scientists.
Put them from German to America to create the
rocket program. Correct.
I know that, yes.
All right.
Braun, Werner von Braun.
Werner von Braun,
yes,
that's right.
Example, yes.
But on his tombstone he writes Psalms 19:1 that the heavens showeth God's handiwork, and he was hinting to people, and he told his assistant that they never got out of this roof, that there's actually some kind of dome stopping us from getting too high, that our rockets can only go 30 or 40 miles in the sky, and that's about it. So I saw a doc.
You think they have never been there?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I know these ideas too. Yes, I'm not sure about that. Yes. And also you not believe in of the. World Trade Center, that it's...
yes.
You do believe that too?
Well, I know it came down. I know the buildings came down. But do I think that 19 Muslims with box cutters and a guy in a cave did it? Who's meant to... His family is friends with George Bush. Do I think that, Osama bin Laden was family friends of George Bush? I
don't know that.
There's so many things. When you look into the 9/11 story, it's like, wow, we were sold a false flag. When you attack yourself...
But on the other side, it's all time I have to agree with the idea that people are so much against other people. That's hard to believe,
Yeah, I mean,
for me,
it's the same as what happened with Germany in World War II. People who read history today think that the Germans all hated the Jews and so on, but that's not true.
Never. My family helped them to put out. Yes,
exactly.
Two, and another one was a journalist. He in 1933. He go in jail because he said something against Hitler, the Hitler regime. He said in the other countries.
Yeah. So I never believed that. Good. Because the history that's taught to us is written by the victor, and that victor is not you and me. That victor is the king and the queen and the pope. It's those people who are still in charge that get to write the history. Right? I don't know if
they form the history with their name and their ideas, what they want that people have to believe. Yes.
Yeah, and it's all their friends who run the clubs, including the banking club. Now, the banking club is very important because the banking provides the grease for all the weapons systems, all the militaries and so on. So it turns out that Hitler was being funded partly by Americans.
I heard that.
Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
In fact, George Bush's grandfather, Prescott Bush, was actually, I don't know if he was jailed, but he was found guilty in an American court of trading with the enemy, of funding the Germans, of funding Hitler. You know, and we know that Henry Ford was supplying the war machine with oils and things like that made the planes work. So we know, it seems that when all governments are in the same bedroom, it means that we help each other. We help each other to make sure that we can have these wars that will impoverish the people and keep them in fear and keep them divided. And that's what's going on. And so for me, the idea that the science, now you start to look into NASA and you start to see cheapers. They never managed to get the lunar lander to work here on Earth. They flew it up there 250,000 miles, and it works perfectly every time, but they can't get it to work on Earth. And we just accept that, oh, don't worry, it'll work fine when we get there, but we can't show you it working here. The same with the International Space Station. They've never shown us them building it here on Earth. They've never shown us them doing a spacewalk where they turn the camera through 360 degrees. They never take a movie camera up to the moon, even though they can afford to take a dune buggy and drive around for having fun up on the moon, but they can't take a movie camera. There's so many things that are wrong with the moon landings. There's a documentary called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. You watch that documentary, it's NASA's own footage, and you see Neil Armstrong, they look so guilty when they come back from the moon. They're like shifty, their answers don't make sense, they don't seem elated, their body language is of that of beaten men, not men who've just done something humanity has never done before. So when you start to realize, and I'm only 4 years or 5 years into realizing that the moon landings were hoaxed, and I'm only 5 years into learning that 9/11 wasn't what the National Geographic and the newspapers told me. It was something completely different.
After that, you believe nothing.
Yeah, and then you start to, well, I was still believing a lot of things until I found...
Inside.
Yeah.
You believe nothing more.
Yeah.
What the newspapers write and what politicians want to make you believe in.
Yeah, they've stolen the truth from us, and we can no longer discern
really
truth.
I think so too.
I think Hitler or one of these people said, if you tell a lie big enough or often enough, people eventually believe it. And Mark Twain said that it's easier to deceive a man or a woman than it is to convince him that they've been deceived. So because I
cannot understand that.
It's easier to lie to a man, to tell him a lie and convince him of that lie, than it is to tell him that he's being lied to. Because once you believe it for yourself, you don't want to unpick that and say, oh, maybe you fooled me.
Yes, this I have seen in my life oftentimes. That's true.
Yeah.
The people want they don't want to be wrong in your ideas and in their believing.
Yes, so that's right. So at the age of 5 or 6 years old, our teachers and our parents are saying to us, hey, you live on a spinning ball. And at 5 and 6 years, you say, well, why can't I feel that spin? And you get told, oh, you're just too small. That's why you can't feel it. You live on a ball that can hold water to the underside. Oh, how does that work? I don't see that work. Well, a thing called gravity. And over a very short space of time, we get given these ideas that we can't prove. But we continue to accept them because everyone around us simply accepts them. You know,
that's most problem. If I have a believing I cannot share with anyone, or only with small part of people, then it works inside me. Sure, I think I maybe I'm right or wrong. It works a while, but for that it's good to communicate with people who have had more open mind and more thinking. Now you can finish that now.
Cool.
I want only here to read in German too.
Yes, please do. And ask me any questions you might have.
Okay.
Oh my. Sending them know when we are.
I saw some messages coming in just now. I'm not sure. Let me just check here. Okay, I think they know where we are.
McDonald's or the Orange Mobile Shop.
Yeah, McDonald's or the Orange Mobile Shop, guys, if you're looking for us. As I said earlier on at the beginning of the stream, let me just get rid of that. Hello, friends. We're in Luxembourg. Hey, and there's my little boy.
Observations are theories. Observations are fact. Do you not trust your eyes and your senses? Are you spinning around at 1,000 miles an hour? Is that happening? Do you really believe that?
All right, we got our newest member of the team.
Okay, so when
Sven,
you were a child, before you went to school, you're telling
Giving
me
it large.
the Earth must be round. I can't wait for my teacher to tell me.
Lisa's busy filming that stream.
No, but I'm saying that if you really believe that.
There's some conversations I need to have. Sorry. Yeah, did you hear where we are, Roxanne and Jason? We're outside the McDonald's next to the, I think what is the town hall. It's a beautiful building, not as old as and as grand as some of them that we've been hanging around. Hey guys, you got any questions?
We speak about. We spoke about that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No, I have no any questions.
Okay.
So, and you are around Europe here.
Correct. Yes. Yesterday we were in Frankfurt, and the day your hometown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ah.
We.
And how it was?
It was good. We weren't in the busiest place, unfortunately, but we had some really nice conversations. Some people approached me and said, "Yes, we already know the Earth is flat." Others didn't really want to stop and talk, but a mixture, you know. It's
You
like
have
everywhere else.
something.
Yes, I have some information for you and some resources.
I have a friend in my place. He believes that all this too. Yes.
Oh, really?
Maybe it's I will show him.
Well, can I say that we try not to use the word belief anymore, because
Yes.
that's where we all go wrong, is we believe in the thing. What I know for sure is that water is level. That we can test. We say that the Earth is flat, but the belief.
But
I understand you
most
saying
people
that.
say
That's
that.
fine. Yes, I believe in Jesus, or I believe in.
I know
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah.
That's,
Muhammad
yeah,
and.
so
yeah,
I like
yeah.
to let it more open.
Yeah,
So in a
yeah,
way,
yeah.
I cannot say that all this is true. Yes.
No, it took me months and months of research to kind of start to think. You know, because this is the one thing that really got me was the formula for the curving of the Earth, the ball Earth. It's like if you look at the maths, it's 8 inches per mile squared. You can stand on this, but it's 8 inches, per mile squared.
Also Erdkrümmung, ne? You mean,
because of trigonometry, and you're going down, you've got to exponentially get faster and faster. So this is miles, and by 10 miles, you're looking at 60 feet, 66 feet. By 100 miles, 6,000 feet at 100 miles.
the Krümmung here.
Yeah, the curvature, the bending of the water.
Yeah.
But we know that the physics of water is, when you see it, is always level.
Yeah, but they say it's the Anziehung. I don't know the English word. The
Gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say that, but you see, it's a theory. It's a theory, and I mean, just because they say it, just because they say that Muhammad was this man, it doesn't mean it's true. And if we can't measure this curvature, we've got to say.
For me, it's a little bit the thing that when they, but you say the same. When they come kids outside and they make photos, then it's round.
Yes, but okay. So, but it's possible that they can fake these photos, hey? And NASA admit now that they're making them with computer-generated images. You see, these are the different kind of images that they send us of the Earth. And sometimes, look, it's like orange. I mean, how does it just change the color completely?
That's possible. I believe that, yes.
So this man called Robert Simmons, he admits, he's Mr. Blue Marble. He admits that he designed the blue marble, this shot, that was on all our iPhones. He designed it from data. It's not a photograph. In fact, we've got, on this flyer that I've given you, we've got two versions of the globe. By NASA, 2012, 2013. America, North America, big. Next time, small. It's impossible, it should always be the same. And in fact, there's not one agreed globe that is like, this is the perfect representation of Earth. And that you'd think in this day and age with computer scanning and so on.
And behind you, who is that? Who is there? Where it's all in your own?
It's just independent souls who have found this information, have got to a point where they want to do something about it and affect change.
You make this going from
this tour
of your own
with our own money.
Yes,
absolutely, with our own money, and with donations, primarily donations from people across the plane who are eager to see this. Little bits here, $10, £50, a little bit here, a little bit there, and a whole lot from a guy called Mark Sargent. But and this guy here, who's who's very kindly donating $1 for every app that he sells. He sells this fantastic app on YouTube on the thing.
I speak with him at home. I will speak with him at home.
Yes.
So with
his
my
stuff
friends,
is.
you know.
Your friend at home. Yeah.
He's since years. You believe that?
Really?
And so,
He'll be excited to. You should take a photo of this and send it to. Take a picture and send it to your friend.
Yeah. I will. Yes.
And yeah, because we see
in
it.
Frankfurt. Yeah.
Oh, right. We see it as important.
And also he is often in the internet and he's
Okay.
speaks about it and so
Well,
on.
there's some great references there, and my YouTube name is Trinity4. Have you guys got speaking English? All right.
Nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet
Yes.
you. Have a great life.
Thank
All the
you.
best. Bitten. Bye-bye. Good and bitten. Bye-bye. Hi guys, any English? Anyone speak English? Anyone want to flyer some information? Free your mind. Liberate yourself from the government control that is your mind. You are not evolutionary monkeys. You are not from outer space. You are created perfect. You are created here to enjoy this place of your control. Do not believe your government anymore. Do not believe your science leaders anymore. Trust yourself. Learn to trust yourself. You're not spinning. If you can provide me any proof that you are spinning right now, then I say, okay, you got me. But there's no proof you are spinning. No proof. No science experiment. Do you want some information?
Yeah.
Check it out, bro. Check it out. Yeah, just a little something. Yeah, that'd be cool. Hey, you want a flyer? Can I offer you some information? The earth is flat. La terra è piatta. Okay, it's not, that's Italian, right? What's the earth flat in German again, Sven? Die Erde ist flach. Die Erde ist flach. Die Erde ist flach, my friends.
Show me more about your specific.
Die Erde ist flach.
Here's what we had to eat.
What did you have to eat? Isim?
No,
Oh,
chips and McDonald's.
you had chips at McDonald's? And you're saying that on my live stream? That's insane, darling. You're supporting the beast.
Meat much.
Well, fair enough. It is,
quick.
yeah, it is, yeah. Hey guys, the earth is flat. We've been lied to by our governments, by our science. Science, gravity is like a form of religion. If you don't want to hear me say this, you are being deafened by your religion called scientism. Gravity is just a theory. It does not make water cling to the underside of any shape. We cannot prove that. We cannot demonstrate that in a physical way. The natural physics of water is always to stay level. And your senses will tell you that you are not spinning. It is the earth, the sky that is moving, the sun that is moving, the moon that is moving, but not your feet. We are on a stationary blob. We don't know what it is beyond that, but we know that water is always level and earth is 70% water. When do you get a globe? Formula for globe is 8 inches in the mile squared. 8 inches in the mile squared means 60 foot over 10 miles, 6,000 foot over 100 miles. Tell me how a ship is going to go down a curve of 100 miles and ever going to come back. Ships need to be like in your bath over steady and stable flat water. Otherwise, they will fall off, or they need a system of locks to bring them back up the hill.
Have you tried going to the end of the flat?
No, I have not, my brother. Have you tried going to the end of the known universe? No, we have not, but we believe in it because Disney's right behind it. No, we don't know. I mean, we know of an Admiral Byrd who in 1952, 1955 went on massive missions sponsored by the American taxpayer. Thousands of troops went out there and he tried to travel some 2,000 kilometers out beyond the pole, and he said he found land bigger than America with resources that would feed the entire world. Oil, gas, gold and stuff. He's on record saying this. A guy called Admiral E. Byrd, their most decorated admiral. So they after he went out there, they brought in the Antarctic Treaty. Russians, Americans, they all signed it. And they've never broken it. The Swedes, the Germans, they've never broken it. Despite being at war with each other, Cold War, whatever, Korea, you name it. And they've never broken the Antarctic Treaty. You and I cannot go below the 60th or 70th parallel without permission. And if we do go, we go on a guided tour only to very discreet locations. So no, we can't travel that way. Although I suggest to you that the further you go away from the equator, north or south, you go so far away from our local and small sun that things become very hostile, and that even with our most advanced military equipment, we can't travel more than, say, 10,000 miles from the equator. That's my theory. I obviously can't prove that.
Have you watched this documentary in Netflix?
Beyond the Curve?
Yeah,
Beyond
Beyond the Curve.
Yes, I actually,
Behind the
one of the guys who's the lead on that, his name's Mark Sargent. He's quite a big sponsor of our tour.
Okay.
Now that was done as, that documentary was done as a bit of a joke, a bit of a hit piece. Not by the people who did it, but by the producers of it, because they knew it would get great viewing.
This experiment that they do at the end, where they are trying to prove this laser.
Yes.
They realize actually that the
Yes. Well,
that there is a curve.
no, I think what they've done is they've taken, if that was true, right, they would, mainstream science would use that all the time. They would say, here's our proof, we're going to
Well, we
wheel
can
it
do
out
it.
and so on.
It's not so complicated.
But-
They just did it there.
Okay, well, no,
People
what they've
who believe
done...
in the flat Earth, they did this experiment, and they actually found out that they were like.
I know.
And you see that it ends something like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. Okay, do you know, have you heard of the ether?
Ether. No.
Okay, so before Albert Einstein came up with relativity, theory of relativity, everybody in science accepted that there was an ether that was like a soup that we walk in, that we exist in. And that ether is actually a turning force. And that ring gyroscope that they did that experiment with, laser gyroscope, is actually picking up that energy force. That's my answer to you on that. The company who make the gyroscope say you cannot prove that the Earth is spinning based on our piece of equipment. That's not what it's spinning. We accept that the sky or this ether is moving. And the interferometer experiments, which were done in the 1800s, which were the original experiments done to prove whether the Earth was moving, a guy called Michelson, another guy called Morley, and another scientist called Gale. These are French and British, I think, scientists. They did for 30 years try to prove that the Earth was spinning, and every time they came up with this little bit of movement, with 3, 4, 5 miles an hour of movement, and it's like a turning force that's going on. And so for me, that exists and that can be measured, but that in itself does not account for 1,000 mile an hour spinning, which is what this Earth is meant to be spinning at right now, 1,000 miles an hour.
At the surface.
At the equator, yeah. And here, maybe up in Germany, 650 miles per hour. We're meant to be spinning. Now, that's the speed of sound, actually. And we have no forces on our world of that magnitude, yeah?
Yeah, it is. But the thing is, so first, the sound travels through medium. And the medium that there is here is the atmosphere.
Okay.
So it travels at that speed relative to the someone is stopped in the universe.
Okay. So now, can I ask you, if you think that you're moving at 650 miles an hour here, and when you get to the North Pole, you're not really moving at all because there's no radius, right? There's no circumference, I should say.
At the very, very...
At the very, very top. But so by the time you get there, theoretically, you're almost not moving at all. But by the time you get to the equator, you're moving at 1,000 miles an hour. So that's like a significant step down over the distance of 6,000 miles, which is a quarter of our globe. You've got a 1,000 mile an hour variation in the winds. Do you think that the Coriolis force is sufficient to account for that?
Yes.
Okay. So now tell me something else then.
I also have a question for you.
Okay.
So when you go to the beach and you see like the horizon,
Yes.
How do you explain that? Like what is that for you?
That's about perspective and angular resolution. So if I go down to the beach and I see a ship at 3 or 4 miles go over the horizon, and I can no longer see it anymore.
What does that mean?
Yeah. And then I go and stand on the cliffs 50
you
meters
still
up,
see it?
I can still see the ship. Then I go into a 10-story building, I can see the ship even further.
Okay.
Then I go into a
if
hot
the
air
ship
balloon,
if the ship has this like a
tall
how do you call it?
mast, yeah.
And mast.
Yes.
And it goes down, and you actually see
Yes.
the mast going down because
Okay.
basically.
Okay,
They do
so
like
I'm going to
the
ask you
curve,
to.
right?
Okay, so the experiment that or the example that I just cited to you now, I'm going to ask you to think about that in reverse. So imagine you were on the ship watching your friends. One friend was standing on the beach, one was standing on the cliff, one was standing in the 10-story building. Who do you think you would see last?
Well, the cliff is bigger than the 10-story one.
Oh, well, let's just say the 10-story building is on top of the cliff.
Okay.
You'll see the man last that's in the 10-story building, hey? That's why they have the lighthouse at the top of the light, because the taller something is, the further we can see it from.
Because there is a curve.
Well, no, you can do that same experiment over a super flat. Let's say the salt flats in Utah.
Also, like, have none of you to just buy a drone, like very, I don't know, very, very expensive drone, or just a rocket or something that you can build off materials, ship it with the camera, and you see that the Earth is,
Yeah, we've done loads of experiments like
and
that.
you see that the Earth is actually curved,
No.
the globe.
No, it depends on the camera you use. You see, if NASA like to give us the fisheye lens, the fisheye lens make everything look round, and a wide-angle lens.
And then anyone can not use a fisheye lens.
Yeah, we
and
don't. So we take the regular lens,
And then you
and
use
we
it
see
in
that it's
flat.
super level. In fact, a guy called George Piccard was back in the late 1800s. He took a gondola up to 10 miles, and it was very famous. In fact, George Piccard is named after the guy from Star Trek. They named the guy Piccard, Captain Piccard, after him. But he came back and said, "I was at 10 miles and the Earth looks flat." That's what we see. Think about it like this: if the Earth is curving like you think it is, and the ship is leaving the beach, the harbor, and it goes away 3 miles and you can't see it, but then you go up higher and then you can see it for 10 miles, and you go onto an airplane and you can see it for 100 miles. And if you go over the Mediterranean, that looks to be level for me. The ship is still on a level body of water with all the others. But do this experiment in your own mind. If the ship is leaving you and going down to the next port, let's say from port A to port B, it's going to go down. Over 100 miles, that's 6,000 feet. When it gets to port B and returns to port A, is it going to go back up the hill? Or is it going to also be going down again from the beach of that? Is he going to say, no, I'm in port B, I'm in point B, and it's going down for me?
Depends for whom.
So is that? So now we're talking about. So now we're
going up, and you will see the mast going up from the horizon. For the other person who is in harbor B, the mast is gonna go down.
So you agree that if it leaves port A, it's going down. If it leaves port B, it's going down.
Yeah.
Because that's based
Depends
on the
on where you are.
perspective of the viewer.
Well, yes.
Yes. So this is really what the answer is that it's perspective.
It's
because
curved. The thing is, it's curved. So if you see it from A, it's gonna go down.
Yeah.
If it leaves, and if it comes, it's gonna go up.
So because in science we say what goes down must come up, or what goes up must come down, right? That's logic. That's a law.
No.
Yeah. No.
It isn't a law.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that because if you live on a ball, there's no up and there's no down?
No, it's because it's not a law.
All right.
Okay. I don't know. You cannot put it in mathematics.
Okay. Let's not make this an ocean then. Let's make this a hill. You're saying, because we're saying that the ship is going over like a hill of water, right? It's going around over a hill. So let's think about it like a road, and you're on a bicycle. At the top of the hill, which is port A, and you're going to the bottom of the hill, which is port B. And when you arrive to port B, when you arrive and cycle out of port B, is your ship going up the hill, or is it going down the hill? From port B to port A.
It's not the same. So imagine it is like a hill, like this, A and B.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you go that way, if you are looking this direction, when someone is going this way, it's going down. Because your side, you are standing here like this. Your side is this.
Okay, let's not forget. Let's forget what are we looking at, because what you're saying is that because our eyes can trick us, right? It is possible for our eyes to trick us.
No, but the light cannot bend.
Light can't bend. I like that. A lot of bald people say that the reason we can see Chicago from 50 miles across Lake Michigan is because the light is bending up. But at 50 miles, Chicago, those big buildings should be under 2,000 feet of curvature. And people in the mainstream science will say, no, the reason you can see it is because the light is lifting and bending that up. So we're on the same page. Light can't bend these images up, for sure. But what they're saying is that we live on a ball that's physically curved. Okay? So if it's physically curved, that means there must be a distance when it leaves me to when it gets to the port B that it's going to have gone down the curve.
Depends on where you look from. Man.
What about if we can measure it? Forget the looking. Let's try and measure the curve.
They measured it behind the curve in the Netflix documentary.
No. Now you're talking about the turning. I'm talking about the curving. I'm talking about the rotundity, the sphericity of our ball, right? So the sphericity of our ball demands 8 inches in the mile squared. That's not my maths. That's Pythagoras and AutoCAD. That says that's how much it has to be. All right. So I'm not coming up with that. No flat earther is. That's what the mainstream science will say. Is that if you're standing on a beach, or if you're so if you're standing on a beach, you should after whatever, it's 8 inches in the mile squared. That's how much we lose. It means that as a ship leaves me, per every mile squared that he leaves from my position, he's going to drop down 8 inches squared. That's the per mile squared, right? So at 100 miles,
Okay.
8 inches on the first mile is not so much.
No.
But on the 10th mile, it's 60 feet. And on the 100th mile, it's 6,000 feet.
Okay.
Okay? That's what they say. I say to people then, but if that's true, does that mean that port B is 100 miles away from me and 6,000 feet below the level of my feet? In other words, the sea level is 6,000 feet lower there.
No, because it's a globe.
Measurable, yeah.
It's a globe.
Yeah.
And they are not standing in the same direction as you are. You know, they are standing like this.
Right. Yeah.
You can cut it.
Yeah. So they're standing sideways on the globe. But that's
Like
not.
you are
But
now.
relativity would say that we're all standing up. Like wherever you are on the globe, you're on the top of the
That's
ball,
not
right?
relativity.
What law? What is the theory that makes us all stand on top? Is that not special relativity?
No, relativity is about light and the velocity.
To do with and the bending of time and space. How it would be that our ball could float, because that's what makes our ball float.
No, that's fundamental physics.
I mean, this is maybe what I need to get. When you say fundamental physics, do you mean physics
I
that
mean
is
high school
theoretical?
physics. No, I mean
Or-
high school physics. Okay. That's what I mean by fundamental
Okay.
basics.
So what is it that makes our rock float in space?
A rock.
Yeah, the Earth is a rock, right?
Yeah, okay.
So what is it that makes it float?
What do you mean it's not floating?
What is it doing?
It's being.
I mean, it must be.
I mean, floating, it seems like it's a...
It's supported on nothing really, eh? But imaginary forces called
no,
gravity.
by gravity.
Yeah. But now, what is
What
gravity?
force?
Is like the falling. Hey, when I drop something and say that's gravity.
Yeah, you can
How do you
think
get from?
about it like that.
Okay. So how do you get from dropping an apple on your head and saying that's gravity to now I can imagine a ball floating?
It's not floating. It's towards the sun. In this case, in the case of the Earth.
But it's suspended on what? I mean, what's holding
Nothing.
the
There
ball up?
is an emptiness. The universe is
So
empty. Right?
that's floating, really. I mean, you know.
No, I don't know.
You don't think
Well,
so?
I wouldn't. You can maybe for I don't know.
What would
for-
you describe it as then, my friend? What would you describe it
orbiting?
as?
It's orbiting.
Orbiting.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's not like held up by anything, eh? It's not no physical
that you can
thing.
see.
Yeah. So in physics, the high school physics that you and I should be able to use to prove that we live on a globe,
Yeah.
what physics can we use to demonstrate that force?
Newton's law.
No, that's not physics. That's
physics.
that's maths.
Math is let's say the language you use to describe Newton's law, but Newton's law is
But maths is a language, you know. I mean, you and I could describe a color using different words and so on. But actually, until you see that color and contrast that color, you don't know you're talking about the same thing. And in the course of maths, you're just using, or they're using maths to say this is how something might happen.
So
But they don't require us to do it in a
Does
lab.
your religion say that math is bullshit or something like that?
The only
Do you call
religion,
mainstream
the
math?
only religion we have between us, brother, is the belief in gravity and a belief in balls. I don't have a religion.
Me neither.
See, well, you believe in gravity,
I believe in
is
science.
which is a well, but I also believe. I accept good science. I accept that the scientific method requires for you and I to be able to test that, right?
Yeah.
And you and I
And,
cannot test that.
yes, of
so,
course you can.
but not by doing numbers on a paper. I mean physically test.
No, but that's actually that.
What?
The thing is, what math can say 1 + 1 is 2, and you don't need to have one thing and another thing, and then count them.
But you and I can
do
demonstrate.
that.
What you and I can demonstrate
Based on the
1
rules of
plus
the
was. You and I can demonstrate 1 + 1. That kind of high junior school maths is very easy. I can get one apple, you can get one
No,
apple,
but
we can
without
put them
doing
together
that-
and we got
So,
two
that's
apples.
what I mean.
But
That's
we
what I
cannot
mean.
make those apples float.
No, so let me explain. Math has rules, and without having one apple and another apple, you can already say that the number 1, then you put a plus, and another number 1, and then an equal, that equals to 2 because of the rules. So that's how theoretical.
But that's kind of like an
observation.
observation, eh? We can make an observation of 1 + 1 equaling
You
2.
can make an observation.
But E equals mc squared. We cannot actually make an observation of that. We have to trust a whole lot of stuff that kind of
comes
goes behind
from
that.
mathematical proofs.
Right. So that's
that
where
I
the
don't
belief
understand and probably
exactly. And no, I don't want to really because all
would
of it
like
is
to.
a belief system, like the religious thing.
No,
You know, there is
it's not a
no.
belief system, man. Math is not. You cannot believe it or not believe it. If it holds, it's like it is.
Do you believe in evolution?
In evolution.
Yes.
I don't know, we're talking about flat Earth.
No, because evolution, all of this science is part, there's an important connection between all of the science that we're taught today, and most of the science that most people get on with and accept that the world is based on, well, on evolution, but also on theoretical science, you see, because there's the science of 1 + 1, or the measuring the temperature of boiling water at sea level and at a higher altitude, yeah? There's that kind of physical science, and then there's the theoretical science that I used to love, that I was a big fan of, Lawrence Krauss, David Koch, all these people, Brian Cox, theoretical physicists, Again, it's like, if you and I could do this in a lab, if you and I could test, we could demonstrate how balls will levitate and float around and spin around in a gravitational force from a heavier object like a sun. If we could properly demonstrate that, I'd say fine. We can show that physically. But actually, if you
you mean that you only believe whatever you feel, right?
Well, I've gone back to trusting my senses. You see, when we were 6 years old, we were told that the Earth is spinning, but you can't feel it. You start having your senses robbed from you. When they tell you that Santa Claus is going to visit all the all the good children, you start having your senses. You trust in authority.
Yeah. So you only trust that. That's what
my senses and what I can test for myself. So we have gone out. I know that this ring laser test has been used to throw dirt on the science that people have, just like Globusters has done. Fantastic science. They do laser experiments over 30, 40 miles, and they can fire a laser and see it on the other beach from 30, 40 miles, which, according to their own maths, should be hundreds of feet below the curve of this ball. And as you say, the light's not bending.
Do you know this game called Go?
Golf?
Go. G-O.
A game called Go?
Yeah, it's a board game. Kind of chess. Let's say chess.
Okay.
So chess has the number of possibilities of movements in chess.
Yep.
Are more than anything you can count. Okay?
Okay.
Now I tell you, there is a mathematical formula that gives you the number.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Is a chessboard a ball or a flat plane?
No, we are not talking
because in reality, we have to play our chess on a flat plane. If you try and play it on a ball, all your pieces will fall off. No matter what you do in physics, the pieces will fall off.
You told me you trust whatever you can prove and your senses. I'm telling you, there is no way you can count how many chess moves there are in your life. Okay, and also taking other kind of apples to count that. So there is a mathematical formula that gives you that.
Okay.
Would you trust that?
Well, I would say that was a way of checking it out. But then again, you don't trust the formula that you've been given for the curvature of the Earth. The formula that you've been given and we've been given is 8 inches in the mile squared. I've offered that to you already, and you're not willing yet to think about how that might be in your real world. How you might have stood on one beach and looked at another 10 miles away and said, hey, it's impossible that I can see those streetlights tonight because that's meant to be underneath the curvature of the ball. Take that.
How much did you say is
60 feet. 60 feet in 10 miles.
How much is that in meters, sorry? Do you know?
20 meters.
20 meters?
Yeah.
20 meters below, you mean, from the beach?
Well, yeah, I mean, 20 meters. Yeah, 20 meters is what it is over 10 miles.
So the other beach would be 20 meters below
your level. So
beach A.
Correct, that's right. And we shouldn't be able to see that unless we go to a higher elevation. But we can see that from the beach level, 10 miles, 20 miles, even 30 miles over beach. And as I said earlier on, people have taken photographs of the Chicago skyline from 50 and 60 miles away over a body of water. That body of water is therefore leveled, otherwise we would lose the entirety of the
skyline is like so many feet above.
Let's say we know that the skyline is 1,900 feet in Chicago, but we know that we should be seeing 2,500 or allowing for 2,500 feet of curvature, meaning that all of the tops of those buildings and the bottoms of those buildings should be gone. 8 inches per mile squared, brother. It took me a few weeks after I heard this to go, shit, you know what, I can't apply that to my life and say that I've ever seen 8 inches in the mile squared. I was brought up around ships at a harbor in South Africa. For 45 years, I believed all of this, by the way. It's only 4 years ago that I discovered that 9/11 wasn't done by the Muslims and that there's 8 inches in the mile squared.
Okay. Well, it was nice.
Did you want to take a flyer?
No,
for some
fine.
research?
I already got all my...
All right. Your religious belief is well intact. Gravity is a religious belief, my friend. It's a belief. That's all it is.
And we should have a bunch of them. And you have some kind of Hubble bubble in the sky.
Hubble bubble.
Reaching out and pictures you galaxies. I don't know, stars.
Yeah.
Let's go on and we'll see.
Good luck, brother. The Earth is flat.
Roxanne.
The Earth is flat. Hey, Rox. Hey, Jason, you made it.
Hey, man.
only did we made it, we were actually meant to be around the corner.
Oh, well, we found it was busier here.
Too right it is. It's dead there.
Yeah. Well, we took, after where you sent us yesterday, I'm going to have to do a little bit of extra wrecking.
Yeah. No, it was dead. But we both agreed that one looked better.
Oh, what, some food? Me hungry.
You know what? You should always look out for it when we're unsure. McDonald's. Yeah, like you said, yeah.
Police driving past, I thought, uh-oh, here we go. But there were people in their van that they were taking away, so.
Well, here. We had some. We got our Mr.
The guy asked me, I was talking to you now, she said, this religion that you believe in.
Yeah, 30 kilometers. Yeah. But I noticed. Yeah, I seen it. Yeah.
Water? In my
I've got
bag.
water, I've got
It goes on and off.
There he is. Alexander's feeling a whole lot better today. He was under the weather yesterday evening. Still got a bit of a runny nose, but in much better shape than he was. He's had a handful, maybe 3 colds in his life so far. So, oh, we've had to buy Naive. Some really generous soul came and brought the crew 25 liters of well water, spring water. We've unfortunately gone through all of that, and we're forced to buy crap from the shop. So, if there's anyone in any of the cities ahead of us, and they have access to well water, it would be well nice of you to drop us a drum if you can spare it. Let me see if I can go into the chat. Let me make the screen a little bit brighter, that way I might be able to see what you're saying. I had a guy come out yesterday who's like actually was intending to find us because he just likes this idea so much. I can't see my screen right now. Sorry, one second. Okay. Whoa, 50 people in the chat. That's pretty cool. Hi, Nicholas. Boy, Nick, hi. And Kieran, thanks again, mate. And John C. See you, bro. Hey, Greta and Amanda. Nice to see you all. Thanks very much for stopping by. I'm getting back a little bit back earlier on. Hey, it's Brian Stagley. Nice to have you here, mate. I do appreciate all the work that you do. That says, well, we are the beast. No, it says we're the best. Yes. Thanks, boy, Nick. Dave was even I even was a soldier, and like he still is. Well, yeah, briefly, a very, very long time ago, 30 years ago, national service. Karen B is right. What are you doing here? There is something wrong with you. Do you understand? Behavior you are displaying is not normal. You are faulty in some way. Is that we got a ball boy here. Hey, it's well 10 to 10. Josh is in the house, or was in the house. That's very nice of you to stop by, my friend. Always loving your work. And I met somebody the other day from your neck of the woods. I know Minnesota's big, so I hate to be such a troll, but I said to him, go and check out Josh. He's often at the games there. Oh, it's Karen B was stopped by. Yeah. I'll probably have to make Karen B a moderator, and you can whack the heck out of them, Karen, if you're still there. I don't care. But yeah, I had that guy come by yesterday. Some people might have heard of Sly Spokane, and that was pretty cool. Unfortunately, he didn't have much time. I think he ran out of arguments or something, or rather obfuscation. You just can't keep coming around to the same old stuff. But it's really good. It's really useful to have guys like that come out. I encourage them to come out and say their stuff right here in the square, because it's much so easy to be a cowboy king, a keyboard king, and just sit there and in your basement and make comments and never really get out and look at people in the eye and go, look, I'm standing here, I'm sincere about this. The arguments and the belief in authority is really unfounded. despite people's willingness to cling to their religion. I'm just eating something at the moment, so I do apologize for the break in oration. I'm going to go and film something else. Okay.
We find that quite interesting as we're interacting. You've looked at all of these values, and the only thing you picked out is this, and this is what you're basing your argument on.
No, he said that we're not in the sphere. If we're not in the sphere, what is it?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Why do you believe what you're taught by school?
Because, okay.
Just simply answer it. No complicated. It's a very, very simple question. Why do you believe what you were taught about where you live by school?
Because you can have empirical proofs.
What is yours?
Okay, a simple one.
Not society.
Yeah, no,
What's
a simple
yours?
one.
You're going to tell me
no,
what
I'll
I
take
was taught as well. I
fact.
want to know yours.
Why can we see an eclipse?
Why did you believe in Santa when you were a kid?
What?
Why did you believe in Santa when you were a kid?
Santa.
Yeah. When you were a kid, why did you believe in Santa Claus?
Wait, hold on a
Can I
second.
just finish?
No, can I finish, please?
No, I will finish. Why did you... No, listen, I'm not getting... I just want to not be misrepresented. Let me just finish. I'm asking why you believe, not why society... Do you understand the difference? I'm asking, what is your personal belief?
I was a kid, naive. I am a grown man.
Do you understand the analogy? You don't need to get angry with me. I'm trying to finish. I'm saying that you're misunderstanding.
Dude, that's a serious cigar you got there. You speak in English? That's a very impressive cigar. Have you looked into this before? Okay, cool.
First of all, we see the flatness. The second of all, you will see the horizon.
You don't believe what you see?
Of course I believe what I naturally see.
Okay, so if you just have an eclipse, all right?
I can't look up to look at the sun. Why do
Why
I
are you
think
looking at an
look up?
eclipse? Why are you looking at an eclipse?
You can't. Why
I would offer this young man. I would offer you something to think of. Let me just say, if you see an eclipse,
being recorded?
yeah,
I'm not comfortable in
that's
that.
okay.
Sorry.
Well, but here's a question for you.
Like print out away. Yeah, and
If you, that's all right.
Yeah, it's okay.
Here's a question for you. Because you see something, does it mean that there's only one explanation, or is it possible that there's more than one explanation?
no, factually. I'm looking at factually. Fact,
Okay.
sorry.
So if you think that the lunar eclipse is being caused by the moon going in front of the sun, why is it that at new moon, no scientist or recording has ever been made of the moon 10 hours before and 10 hours after new moon? Think about it like this. If the moon was a rock, in space like they tell us, then at new moon, it should be silhouetted by the sun as it crosses in front of the sun, because that's what they tell us the new moon is at the point of which it's crossing in front of the sun, all the light is on the back of the moon, and we can't see the moon because all the light is on the back and not the front, right?
Such an uncomfortable answer. Because it is.
I just want to apologise. I didn't mean to upset you.
No. It's just like,
I just wanted to
can you look straight at me? Look at the finger. Can you see shit? No, you can't.
Okay, so
I didn't. No, like he like the eclipse. That's exactly what's happening, right? This is why you can't see shit.
no, hold on.
Why not? It's not.
Hold on. No, okay, so
Sorry, I just mentioned.
That's not supporting evidence.
no, here's that. I mean, it's a little bit rude to stick your bright light in my face, but here's I
David,
won't
you mean
film
rude,
you.
apologise. Just,
I'll
like,
respect
frame my
what
point,
you
sorry.
asked me, even though that was extremely rude. All right, to point a bright light. You didn't need to do that to make your example. But let me tell you what happens. Let me tell you what happens when you put an object in front of a light. That object will throw a shadow larger than the object.
Yeah.
Right? Do you agree?
Well, no. Depends on how far you are.
Well, your finger was throwing a shadow on my face bigger than your finger. Would you accept that?
If you want, I just can put it like this,
Uh-huh.
so we can like actually scale because you know like. With the
Now,
distance-
did you know? Okay,
Yeah.
but did you know?
Would be based on no supporting
Yeah, because
evidence, you know that as well, right?
Let's just say.
No supporting evidence.
Let's just say, because the science will tell us that the Earth is 400 times, the Moon is 400 times smaller than the Sun, but 400 times further away. So the eclipse completely covers the Sun. Would you agree? A full eclipse
Yes.
is when the Moon completely covers the Sun. So, try and do that with your little torch there.
No.
Try and do that with something that is going to completely eclipse that light, and see how big the shadow is. The shadow, my friend, if you use a coin, will be bigger than the coin. That's a matter of scientific fact, whether you like to believe it or not.
No. Sorry.
Well, it's a matter of physical observation. We can go, say, take a football and lift it above this light and look at the shadow that's going to be thrown on the ground of that. It is going to be bigger. The closer you get to the light, the bigger the shadow will become,
Yeah,
right?
yes, yeah, the closer you are, but relative, like,
But
the
it would
distance, the distance in between the moon, like how, where you are, okay, but you agree like this. If you
I'm
take
still
like,
eating my sandwich.
Sorry, if you like take a human scale, so this is up to interpretation. Would you agree on this? So on the same basis, yes?
I'll try and go with you.
Let's say
see
I
where
am
we
the
land.
Earth, right?
Yeah.
Relatively speaking, in the size of space, moon will be around my hand. You agree?
Okay.
Sun will be here.
Okay.
So this distance, like the distance in between.
You have to let me. I
Like,
won't
well,
show
like,
your
well,
face.
like-
You have to show people this.
No, no.
So I don't
no,
want to show your face.
I don't.
I
am not.
It's only me.
Not comfortable.
Only me.
in this.
All right.
I'm not.
All right.
I don't know where.
So, well, I mean, we're only people trying to spread love here. You know, we're only people trying to tell you that your government has lied to you, that your education is a
Why is
deception.
it so important that people lie to you? I'm sorry.
You don't believe that you've been lied to? You should look into 9/11. You should look into how they started the Vietnam War. These things
So
have been
you believe
done
we didn't
to
go on the
control.
moon? Are you one of those?
I know we didn't go to the moon, but I 5
Okay.
years ago I believe we went to the moon. Yes.
Okay.
There's
simple
a
mathematical
documentary.
things.
Let me wait.
You know-
Before we go on to the moon, let's look at shadows. Look at the shadow of this, for example. Okay, you see how the shadow of that is bigger than the object itself, and it doesn't matter how close you get to the ground. Until you get to the ground, the object's shadow might be about the same size.
I'm sorry, my friend. You have a huge bias here.
Okay, if you think it's biased, because I think this is probably one of the most bipartisan conversations I've seen.
No, wait. Hey.
The bias would be teaching children by the Ministries of Education.
Yeah, all good.
You know that if you point a
Can I
light,
just
no,
finish?
wait, no,
Let me
if you
finish.
point a
my-
laser,
Obviously, me and this boy are clashing.
No, I'm sorry,
You won't
but
let
no,
me finish
no.
the sentence. You're not
Don't worry,
explaining
this is-
it in a
Rox,
socially
this is-
acceptable way.
this is not
You know what
unusual.
I think, Dave, I actually think he's wasting your time, so I'm not going to waste it.
No, well, I'll give him a little bit more of my time. Look, the fact is that an object will show. You may not like this, but the object will throw a bigger shadow. And the problem, and the reason, if I can get to my point is that when we had a solar lunar eclipse last year, the totality, the area of totality of the shadow was 70 miles. That's a matter of fact. And that begs
where do you get those data from?
from the NASA and all these places. The fact is that people who wanted to be in totality, in the total space of it, had to be within a 70-mile window. That's just a matter of fact. It's not my stuff. And then the partial eclipse was seen for about 1,000 miles either side of the center of that. Now, in reality, if I throw an object that's going to cover your light, then that object, the shadow of that object will be larger than the object itself. They tell us the moon is 2,000 miles circumference. We should be seeing a shadow at least 2,000 miles. I saw your little example here where the moon is so close to the stomach, but 250,000 miles away will mean that shadow will vector out. It will, like a funnel, it will become larger and larger away from the object that's occluding the entirety of that light. For those people, for us standing under a total eclipse, there is no sun to see. We can surely agree on that. That means that the shadow should be bigger than the whole of the moon. Whereas not, it's much, much smaller. So let's say we don't know exactly what's causing the eclipse. Let's leave the argument on that if we can, from our point of view anyway. I know what I used to believe, which is what you believe, but I'm saying we in this new science, this new view of the world, that it could be some kind of electromagnetic experience. It could be the Ketu and Rahu, these two dark objects that are meant to be in the sky that the ancients talked about. It could be those, but I'm theorizing right now. But I'm giving you facts that you can test for yourself. Every time you go and do this, when you take a light source and you bring an object to that light source, you occlude that light source completely, then the shadow will be larger than the object being used to occlude the light source. That's a fact. Now, water, my brother, is level. Water is, we say in English, we say sea level, right? And the reason that because everything on Earth is given a height above sea level. And that's because there is only one sea level. Where they say that water is curving,
that level fluctuates
with tides. No problem.
Well, no.
But that's 10 feet. That's 20 feet. That's 5 feet. Depends on where you are.
No, because you don't measure it according to the water itself. You measure it to the pressure.
Well, look, I mean, we can get into the semantics of that, but let's just say we take a mean sea level.
No, this is, sorry.
Okay.
The semantic is like very important because it doesn't measure the same thing. Why can you measure the height of a building with a simple barometer in mathematics? because the difference
of pressure as
Yeah.
we go up or down.
Well, we say
problem.
sea level is just for
Yeah.
mind to picture this.
Yeah.
Because if we say at a given pressure, it wouldn't make sense. Otherwise, the Netherlands wouldn't make sense because they are technically what you would say below the sea level. You heard that?
Yeah,
Because like this is
so if
below
you think
our
about
referential.
yeah, I'm glad you bring up pressures, because if you think about the way that pressures work, they kind of work in levels and strata. And as you go up, pressures get thinner and lighter. And as you go into the water, the pressure increases by bars of pressure, 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters. Yeah, this is how it tends to work. But if you lived on a ball, yeah, that ball would have, let's say, your 100-meter pressure level would be here, but it would have to then bend to kind of conform with 100 meters of the ball height over there at 100 meters, at 100 kilometers away or 100 miles away. And if we live on a ball, they tell us that 100 miles away it should be 6,000 feet down, which means that actually what we see as strata, like when your shower has steam, it's in a level. When your gases rise, say if you put them in a container, you can get gases to settle and on levels. You know, your heliums, your hydrogen, your noble gases, yeah? The same with liquids. You can get liquids to settle in levels, and those are perfect levels. So
Because each gas takes a certain. No, sorry. This is based on what you contain, man. Sorry.
It needs containment.
What's the
absolutely.
optimal structure? Have the least constraining force on it. What is it? Is it a square, pyramid? What is it?
A structure with the least force.
Yeah. The
I
most
suppose
logical
you
that-
say a circle. Or
Not a circle, because a circle is two-dimensional.
Earth is flat? 9!
No, two-dimensional. So that would be a sphere. We agree. Yeah.
Okay.
A proof of that. Simple.
Do you agree that it would be a sphere? Because that's what I heard him say.
I'm not talking about the Earth. I'm talking about what is in a three-dimensional world. What is the structure that have the least constraining force?
Supporting evidence of that.
This is lunch,
Yes, because-
and it's 6 p.m. I think.
This is mathematical.
Let him ask me this question. I need to ask
Mathematical.
him.
The elliptical orbit of the moon is also mathematical. So
It's
what's
all
the other
mathematical,
focal point? There's two focal points, yeah, for elliptical orbits. What's the other one for the moon? Can you tell me? Because it's mathematical.
No,
I thought that's your
this
force.
is relative attraction.
Something
What's
in the
the
moon.
other focal point for the elliptical orbit of our moon? Earth is the first. What's the
Roxanne to Luxembourg.
It's like going around the Earth.
No, listen, you try to bamboozle me with mathematics. I'm asking you simple mathematical question. What is the second focal point for the elliptical orbit of our moon? What do you mean?
We know the
What's Earth is flat in German again?
is flat.
Die Erde ist flach! Die Erde ist flach, my friends! Earth is flat. You've been lied to by your science, lied to you by your government, lied to by your religion. The entirety of our world is water, and water always finds level. Water level, sea level, ocean level. One flat world. Leave your religion of gravity. End this lie called relativity. Humans cannot walk underneath a ball. Rivers and lakes cannot form underneath a shape. All water must be contained. We know this from when we are children. You need a bath. You need a lake. You need the Suez Canal, 100 miles long, 120 miles, level. Earth is flat, my friends. Your science and your government is trying to deny you the truth about who and what you really are. This place is created for you to have a divine experience. No religion, no belief in gravity, no belief in things that you cannot see. You are the center of creation. Earth is flat.
Applause.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Go look into this. 200 proofs Earth is not a ball. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon. The moon landings were a fake hoax. Rockets cannot go into outer space. And thermodynamics says that you cannot have a pressure and a non-pressure vacuum side by side without a sealed container. It's impossible to have an atmosphere next to the darkness of outer space. This is common sense, my friend. It's also impossible to have water conforming to the outside of a shape, going round and under. It makes absolutely no sense. Look into the flat earth theory, my friends, and liberate your mind from the deception your government is put on you. They have enslaved you on purpose. They have enslaved you not only to take your money and your life and your energy and your children and put you at war, but they have enslaved you to stop you from ever achieving your divine heritage. Each of us are of the Creator. Each of us are as important as every other, but your government and your king and your queen and your pope and your banker, they would have you realize or believe that you are something less. The scientists, my friends, today have been misled. They do not know that water is level. They do not know that the science proving that Earth does not spin has been hidden from us. I'm offering this information to you today as a friend of the human race, someone who's here to tell you that we're meant to love, not hate. Love, not hate. Love, not hate. Earth is flat, not a ball. El terra e piata. Earth is flat, water is level, and your science is mistaught. Hello, my friends. Hey, who's got some questions? Who's got some questions? Anyone speak English? Oh, fantastic. Any questions? Any science you want to defend? Do you still believe in your government? Do you still believe your government? Do you vote? Yeah?
I'm from New Zealand, so yeah.
Oh, wow. So you come from the land, some of the land down under.
Give or take, yeah.
What was I to tell you that water, the physics of water is always level, and that the science saying that we are on a globe says we should have 8 inches per mile squared of curvature, of bending water. And over 100 miles, that means 6,000 feet of curvature. Now, the American military can shoot a rail gun at Mach 15, and they can fire it with a laser precision target at a target 100 miles away in a straight line. Where's the 6,000 feet of curvature? The world record photograph over water, 270 miles. According to the Globe maths, that should be the picture that they're taking of an island should be 3 miles below the curvature. Everybody's got this photo. They've looked at this photo of Chicago across Lake Michigan, 50 miles, 2,000 feet below the water. But we know that on a clear day we can see 10 miles to our mate on the beach on the other side. That's a matter of fact. Or in the evening, say you're walking up the coastline, you can see 20 miles, lights 30 miles up the coastline, which should be hundreds of feet below some kind of magical curvature. The idea that we now take a ship and go around and underneath to Australia or New Zealand or something like that, absolutely nonsense. But an idea that I could create a flat earth in a big pond where I can sail east or west over to Australia or South America or South Africa, wherever, no problem at all. I can do that all day long. Ancient mariners traveled this world. They put pyramids on every continent of this earth, and they did that knowing that they lived on a flat earth. The science of gravity, my friends, I'm 50 years old, 45 years of my life, I believed in gravity. Now I tell people it's just a belief, it's only a theory, and there's a whole lot of other science built upon that theory. If this and that, then that. And I'm telling you now that water, the physics of water is always level, and they can't prove that we're spinning. What else have you got?
I mean, a lot of those theoretical components that you're theorizing essentially are theories nonetheless. Saying matter of fact, but...
What, like water being level?
Well, no, there's I would 100% dictate that there would be facts that would counteract what you're saying from people who believe that the Earth is round. And
Okay.
I'm not disputing what you're saying, and there's parts certainly that I'm sure you are bringing out facts. But at the same time, it's been within the space of 30 seconds, you've come over and you said, do you guys have any questions?
Yeah.
We didn't have any questions. He merely said where he was from, and then you just whipped out constant facts at us, which could or could not be true. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it could be propaganda, which is essentially what that. I mean, not all of that is going to be evidence. Like, I mean, we think about propaganda; it dates back throughout history.
Yeah.
You know, World War I,
so we've
World War
all
II.
been propagandized, right?
Of course.
By religious.
Even me right now is propaganda talking to you.
Well, like by our religions, for example, the Mohammedan religion and all of that.
Of course, that's propaganda. See, I'm not religious, so I don't believe in any of that.
So that's great. But now I've realized that I used to believe in theories that I can't and you can't test for yourself. So they're theories, they're maths,
How
and
are you
sums and
testing for yourself that the Earth is flat? Are you doing all of these photographies with the curvature, or is this just stuff that you're reading about?
Yeah. Well, okay.
You know what I mean?
The tests over bodies of water to find that bodies of water are level over even short distances. I've done this for myself.
Oh, you've
Okay,
so
yeah,
you've done the photos, you've done the studies.
Well, not only that, I've stood in Spain and seen Morocco, for example, on a clear day. Long before I thought, I used to believe I lived on a ball. So while I believed I lived on a ball, I've seen Morocco from Spain. I've seen the White Cliffs of Dover from France on a clear day.
Right, okay.
That's a matter of fact, right? So that's 25 miles across the English Channel. They say 300, 400 feet of curvature. The White Cliffs of Dover are 300 feet high. We should not be able to see them from France if we live on a ball. So that's the sort of, and if you think about how water works, like if my Olympic swimming pool 50 meters long, we know that that's going to be level. If I max that up and I say I've got a lake that's 10 miles long and I can see my mate or the beach on the other side, that means that there's no bending of the water. Right now, the Suez Canal is 100 miles, 120 miles long, and that's provably by engineering a fact that it's level.
Then, in theory, measurement itself is something that we've contrived as a human population. So the fact that you're saying everything is level and we're going off measurement, how do we know that measurement in itself is genuinely level? Same concept as time, really. Do you know what I mean? Like
Well,
time,
I'll offer you this. Yeah, well, time,
Like
well, time is a concept, but actually level is something that you and I have the ability to discern for ourselves. I was in Pisa the other day, and I can see the Leaning Tower of Pisa is clearly not level. Yeah, and if I was to build, I'd do a bit of woodwork. If I was to build something that wasn't on the level, I'd be able to see that it was slightly off level. Yes, sometimes it might help to have a set square to say, yep, that's perfectly square, right? Or use a plumb bob and say, whoop, that's perfectly square. That does help. But the pyramid's using water to level it. And we say water level and sea level for the very reason that all of our sea levels are built off this basis of one body of levelness, of one body of water level. You know, if my level of sea in England is lower or higher than somebody else's, then whose do we choose to determine what is sea level?
Exactly.
So for what I say to people is that if water is level over every body that you and I can test, when is it ever going to curve? So if we're 70% water, our Earth, then 70% of our Earth has to be level. That's just kind of common sense logic. But to go from, I've got a teardrop and that's kind of round, so the rest of my Earth, my entire Earth now, I can build a cosmology based on the roundness of water. No, that's not enough. Because we can show how the surface tension might make something go wrong over the small amount. But over the large amount, it's going to be used for leveling, and water is level. So
I appreciate the points. As I say, there's not going to be, I don't think, in this massive argument with the world that you guys are having, whether it is flat, whether it is round, it's going to be a theoretical component that is never, until the science comes in that proves it's going to be a matter of opinion. So whether you're right, or whether I'm right, or whether whoever else, you know what I mean? Like, as long as you can back up what you're saying, which essentially, from what I gather, you can. It's not just this.
No. Yeah, what's your name?
You're doing it, Declan.
Declan, I'm Dave.
Nice to meet you, Dave.
Likewise. Where are you from, Declan?
I was born in Australia, but I live in the UK.
Okay, I was born in England and I was brought up in South Africa, but now I live in the UK.
The accent.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing, so for me, there's a lot of the flat Earth theory that is theoretical, and I'm willing to say that right. So how the sun works exactly, how the moon works exactly, don't know. Well, I can see it, I can make observations, and I can make theoretical conclusions based on what I see. But what we know for sure is, our senses tell us that this Earth is not moving. Like if we were on a fun fair ride, we would know that we were moving. But the teacher says it's so big you can't determine that. So we go and look at the science that shows how we're moving. They give us things like a pendulum is going to swing around like this, the focal pendulum, right? But they have to set that moving every day. They say we did an experiment back in the 1800s called the interferometer experiment, Michelson Morley and so on, and we found that there was a slow turning of ether, and then we banished the ether. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no actual science that will demonstrate that we're moving. So we're spinning, and we're meant to be spinning on 4 vectors. And if we were moving and spinning on 4 vectors, and the rest of the universe was spinning on all these different vectors at millions of miles an hour through space, we wouldn't have the same roof for thousands of years, the same constellations of stars. They would not, parallax itself, even though they say, they're so far away, that's why you see the same stars, and Scorpio's claws look exactly the same for millions of thousands. But parallax would demand that these things, because they're so far from each other, would slow or speed up against the way, and the way we travel past them would cause them to parallax and not hold their same shape. So our roof seems to be, as the ancients said, a fixed set of pictures or lights. That's what we can determined. Our highest powerful cameras can look at them, the Nikon P1000, they look at them and they look like lights flickering in the sky. That's the best that I can offer you. But equally, the ship's going over the horizon thing, we take the camera to that, the powerful camera, and we can see that ship that's gone over the horizon half an hour ago, we can pull it back into view and we can watch it for another half hour, steam over straight water.
I appreciate it, man.
So,
I definitely appreciate the input. And I'm not meant to be rude, it's just like...
No, Declan, that's fine. It's fine. You guys need to head off and have a fantastic life.
I appreciate it.
But let me tell you that it took me 45 years to go, shit, hey, maybe I've been bamboozled. And if I've been bamboozled, and I'm a reasonably intelligent guy, of course we all have. But why? Why the frick would they bother going to such a length to kind of, come up with that? For me, it's about controlling the soul. It's about controlling the divinity that lies within you. I say to people, before you go, because I was an atheist 5 years ago. My dying mother couldn't get me to accept God, right? My dying mother in 2011 could not get me to accept God. 5 years ago, I had my pineal gland ripped open with ayahuasca or DMT. You might have heard of that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So then I was like, shit, there is some kind of meta creation going on here, and I'm part of some kind of infinite story that doesn't die, right? Even though this body may will die at some point. So that was my first realization. Then I found out, the Earth isn't spinning and the Earth doesn't have any curvature to it. So that means that the entirety of all governments are in some kind of cahoots that is designed to mess with us. And that messing with us is designed not just because they want to strip you of your pay taxes and make you a slave and all that stuff, as people say, but actually because you might well be the center of creation. I say to people, what if the story of Jesus is the story of you? That each of us is like a Christ character, and we have that potential within us.
Stop you there, Dave.
Well, I'm not trying to sell Christianity.
Look at me.
No, well, I'm just saying that with this system, when you look around at the brokenness of humanity, and I'm not looking at you lads at all, you're very young men, but when you look around at the brokenness of humanity, and I'm 50, and in my life I went to war as a kid at 19 in Angola, and I thought this world after the Cold War was going to get better, but actually shit is getting worse for people, right? And the nature of the human biome getting worse. People are getting sicker, more drugs, more pills, more crutches, more scooters to get people around, more obesity, more mental health problems, and so on. Why? Because they're trying to break this Christ within you, trying to take the little spark, the light of Christ or whatever, and put it out. I'm not selling Christianity, by the way. I'm selling that you might be the center of creation. And until you realize how important you are, you will be happy with some kind of hedonistic halfway house like I was. The Sodom and Gomorrah, happy to kind of indulge in this, that, vice and the other thing, and spoil yourself, break yourself along the way, and never realize the true divinity, the true thing. Now, does that mean, and this is theory now, does that mean that you've got to, well, my last sentence is that, does that mean that you live this life, you die and you come back, or something else? I don't know. But it seems like it's worth making the effort, knowing the truth and making the effort. That's why I'm traveling around, looking to tell people like this. Good luck, my young friend. Lovely to meet you. Lovely. Have a great holiday or trip or whatever it is you're doing. The earth is flat.
You have the patience of the sensor. You do. I'm telling you, we could all learn a lot from you. Because see me, even when I think they're trolls, I'm just like, I'm ready to call them out.
Yeah, no, we gotta rise above that. This is what I've learned. You know how I was quite aggro in Speaker's Corner, last year.
I apologise to your viewers, and I want to apologise to Jason's viewers because I think I was a bit misconstrued, but I do want to get this out before the update tonight, all right? Because I think it's really valid, and people are misunderstanding this question. Because why I brought up Santa as an analogy, because the boy was so triggered on not being able to answer such a primitive question. He wanted to get right to the gears and the cogs of things because that's where his arguments are. All I was really trying to say is when one asks someone why they believe what they were taught at school, why does then said person turn around and give us the social response for why we believe what we were taught, generically speaking? So that's like me saying to someone, why do you believe in Santa? And you go, well, we all believed in Santa
safety in numbers.
No, I'm asking why you believed in Santa, not why we as a whole believed in Santa. And I feel that's a really good defense mechanism for those that don't know how to answer that question.
However, although I agree with you, I in terms of that, I think that what I've learned to do is to kind of massage the person around on a certain kind of conversation because it's so easy to kind of get into that impasse where you're not able to kind of conversate with them any longer. And I think what I try and do is take them on a journey from what their questions are to something else. So, I'm learning.
He misrepresented you because he was saying that, this man's saying that he's telling you the Earth's flat and he's pointing at the banners and he's saying that you're making a claim. So I thought, for validity reasons, we need to ascertain this and clarify that this is not a claim that's being made. This is attacking the claim that's been made and showing there's no supporting evidence for it. And then he went, but it says it's flat there. And that's why I said, where does it say it's flat? Well, no, there's an image there. And so out of all of that banner, you've homed in to one image. And you're now basing your whole argument with this man in a somewhat of a socially non-accepted way. He was doing it in a condescending fashion with bad body language.
Of course.
And I thought it was just worth not showing, but pointing out to him that even though you were having a conversation with him, there was others standing around that were quite willing to go, by the way, that's a bit uncouth, that was a bit naff, that was a bit...
Yeah. Well, he shouldn't have shone his light in my face, but you see that reflects their kind of the degree of thing. And I saw it with that Slice Barcane yesterday, you know, they were so on the edge of their seat. And because it does trigger people really, really hard. Now,
but do you not think society, we've got a fundamental issue when people can't answer why they believe what they were taught? It's just a simple question. Why do you believe what you were taught at school? Shouldn't be a problem to answer that question.
No,
it's a really relaxed question. It's not condescending, and it's not armed either. It's a simple question. If I just said to you, Dave, why do you believe what you were taught at school? You would go, where do you want me to start, Roxanne? Whether you believed it or not. So even if you did believe it, you would go, where do you want me to start? If you didn't go, where would you want me to start? So when someone goes, I don't know, you're here for hidden agendas to have this conversation. This is more about their ego. And I'm not saying to write off the conversation. I think it's just I think I'm saying this all as a disclaimer because I didn't want anyone to think I just ran behind Dave and went, ugh! I was standing there for a little while and it became uncouth when he started to put words in Dave's mouth. You're making claims. All your banners are saying the Earth's flat and you've made a claim. And I just thought, for anyone who's just clicked into Dave's stream, who hasn't been watching this from the start, and to people that are new to this stream, it's little nuances like that have us misrepresented. And those people there, they're just shouting at people, screaming the Earth's flat. Does that make sense? And there's so much more to these conversations that are happening than just people going, the Earth's flat. Yes, that's a gimmick of ours. We do like doing that. But people can't come away from these conversations saying they've been given a false paradigm, a new one, or some kind of narrative, because all that's being done here is questioning the claim that's been made, and that's one thing I want everyone to remember, and not more so for the people that watch Dave, but just for anyone new. So yeah, that's
thanks for clarifying that, Rox.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I think that it's like you're never going to convince a guy like that to change his mind, and their belief in their religion or their authority isn't going to change because you.
Saying to himself, there is a conversation to be had, whether he wants to admit it to you or not. He knows that this conversation is not as elementary as he walked into it thinking. That is what your patience of the saint has done, because I would never have got that far with him. I never, and I know there's a lot of people there that I saw you in the chat room. I was with you all in the chat room. There was a lot of people in there that could see that you were doing good there, because even though he was coming with those false, weak kind of points, you entertained it. Where a next person might go, actually, you know what? Got a better idea. I'm gone.
Yeah, and there's something else to consider with this all, Rox, and that is that for people that are watching, oh wow, look what little Easy has got his ice cream. Happy day.
Around Europe with Zizi's Isims.
Yeah.
Love it. Isims.
Isim, he calls them.
Isims.
Yeah.
Yummy, Alex. That looks
strawberry.
Delicious.
It's strawberry this time.
That looks yummy, Alex.
Yeah. No, there is a serious, for me anyway, a serious value in having those interactions.
You have
a blue spoon.
He chose it for you.
Thank you very much. A blue one for Daddy. Daddy's got a blue spoon.
Oh, Mummy.
Yeah, Mummy's got one too, and a green one for Alexander.
Having ice cream.
The Trinities are eating Isim. Now, there's a serious aspect to that, and that is that one, I feel like I hone my debating skills when I encounter chaps like that.
Yeah.
Two, I think that people who get the opportunity to see that conversation can either think, well, if I was presented with that argument, I would handle it like this, or I agree with the way he's done that. And when I do have that conversation in a pub or with a member of family, then I'm going to remember what Dave said, or I'm going to ameliorate what Dave said in a particular way. Yeah. And I'm going to, not only that, I'm going to handle it in a way where I'm not getting triggered. Because for a lot of us, this is the journey of, and Andrea will confirm this, the journey of being properly triggered by people and trolls. I mean, Harry might even have some footage of me slightly getting touchy and feely with someone in Speaker's Corner once upon a time, so been there and done all of that, and coming through that and wanting to kind of mature my own delivery in the face of that, because that movie. Daddy eats him too.
Yeah.
Daddy have some eats him too. The strawberry one.
It's not Italian.
It's not
gelato.
Italian gelato.
No, it's Luxembourg. It's Luxembourg isn't. Yeah, but of a very different nature.
Yeah. It's definitely not Italian.
No.
Oh well.
Mummy says no.
No.
Can I say something? I don't know what you're talking about, but if it's about being triggered, I think I read something today about we mustn't forget how intrinsically we've been programmed. And people are even unaware that they've been programmed. So you tell them you've been programmed, you've been indoctrinated. They're not aware that they are, and we have to remind ourselves. Gosh, we're all human, and we all get triggered, and especially when you're passionate about something. But that we have to remain compassionate,
Despite that.
Despite that. And then I read something else. Always remember, if you're talking to that person's higher self and not their ego,
that helps.
then
I
it's
forgot about that.
easier
Yeah.
to stay calm.
Yeah.
I say easier. It's not always
Not always a
easy.
walk in the park.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
not a
If
walk
you're
in the
talking to that person's ego, then it becomes Mount Everest.
Yeah.
And you're ice picking
Yeah.
and slipping and
Yeah.
doing that kind of
But if you just keep on calmly talking to them or listening to them, know that you're talking to their higher self. And that's
great advice.
on some level you're pinging that light.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that's easy.
No, but the words of wisdom, nevertheless, even though it's easier said than done, it's still good to have those words of wisdom there, because in the moment, we all forget that. Even me, just now, talking to him. The only thing that I was getting triggered on was his ego and his inability to allow the sentence to be finished. Because, and this is what I mean about ego. As soon as someone points out you made a mistake, or you stood on something, or you've broken an egg or spilled something, the onus is then on you to take responsibility for that. And I think that's another thing that I'm noticing with people, like when we're talking to people that are confronting us with their ego, as soon as their ego realises it's bruised, we're then in a situation where I would roll up because that person's going like that, not like that, but verbally. However, I still remain with the fact that we've still got a lot of work to do if people can't answer a simple question about what.
Oh, I know that. I know that. But you know the movie Dawn of the Dead or Shaun of the Dead or whatever. Well, that movie is a little bit like how life is on the road, where that for eons to come, you could stand here and convert or offer information that alerts people to this truth, and for eons to come, you will get people who will come with that exact same mindset, where the door is shut.
Of education, because of any other reason.
But that's the Dawn of the Dead, drooling kind of.
Because everyone has been indoctrinated into the curriculum.
Well, believing in authority, but trusting in a system of authority.
I think there's programs.
So most of the population, they've all been taught that same book by the same ministries of education in each representative country.
Roxanne starting much younger.
Oh no.
If you think about babies these days, you can hardly buy
Children's
clothes.
TV or clothing with
Like
dinosaurs
clothes
on,
that haven't got dinosaurs on.
alien shit.
I think if that was all we were dealing with, we wouldn't have the fight we have. Because we've got people's appeals to authority and to the school system, that's the mission. Because people will always rest. The ones that I have got to answer that, do you know what they said to me? Milton Keynes is a perfect example. The one girl I got to answer, why do you believe what you're taught at school? Do you know what her answer was after a lot of back and forth? Because I do.
Yeah. Well, that's what you get to.
It's very cleverly done, because, like I said last night on the live, what they do is they get us to over our power from a very little age to authority, and then we trust that the information they're then giving us.
Again, that's why I went to Santa, because it's us that are involved in desensitising our own children in the home. Before, like with the products, it's a propaganda that's going to back up what they get to learn at school. And I said that shows how much of a ingrained issue this is. Like you said, it's way past that. But while we're at the crux of this now, yes, it starts at birth, it starts at home. But the education system is the one thing that's the beast in all of this, the organ grinder, right?
Well,
Because
and
each representative country has already acknowledged that they don't have enough vocational courses. Going back to natural education, even our country now is looking to debate whether to scrap GCSEs and go to a more holistic approach because the teachers themselves have lost faith in the system. They know that they're teaching kids to regurgitate information. So the crux of society not being able to be okay with answering why they believe that the system taught them shows us where the problem is. They're, like you said, don't even know they've been programmed.
People don't know they've been programmed, and that's why we have to love them despite their. Because some people are vociferous in their ignorance. You know, they will fight you because they want to cling to their belief, and I think we have to lead the way.
They're not clinging.
They don't even
They're
know
not clinging. Exactly.
They don't even know they're holding on. Some of them.
It's not even an ignorance. It's they're
An nescience, an unknowing.
There's a program
Yes.
running in there
Yeah.
that tells them otherwise.
Yeah, shadows. Don't tell that young man I spoke to earlier on that your shadow is bigger than you. That would really freak him out.
I'm sorry.
Look at all the wonderful interactions.
This is the biggest problem.
See, look, he's had 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Nobody's going to look for you. Don't worry about it.
There's the blue lighters.
But he was thinking, he engaged in the conversations, although he was playing hard to get, he was still thinking about it. And that's the
Sven. Oh, good. You got a man thinking. You caused some critical thinking. Good
yeah,
man.
got some critical thinking. His argument was, why can't we see New York from the coast of France with a massive telescope, like we can see the solar system? And when I was saying to him that there's a lot of shit in the air, and that's a simple fact on Earth, he wasn't having any of it.
Right.
And then he was also saying that gravity is real and not a theory.
You know what? They all say that they can see the ISS because it's straight up and there's very little atmosphere obscuring it. So when it suits them, there's atmosphere is a problem. When it doesn't, they don't have a problem getting around.
This is the thing. So
that's how. Yeah, the ball is wrapped around a whole lot of confusing or variables that don't add up.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Not dialectics. I'm looking for the right word. While I put my sandwich bag down. Yeah. Oh, how are you enjoying that? I see there's 60 odd 70 people here, which is a nice number, a healthy number. So thanks for stopping by. Feel free to hit the thumbs up. The earth is flat, my friends. We've been lied to about where we live. The government is deceiving us. Balls do not float in space. Water is level. And the ISS, the International Space Station, is all done by Hollywood and CGI. CGI, computer-generated images.
We are here and we are going to be much more of us here.
All right.
Yeah, very happy to.
Good, you met our brother?
Yeah, it's our brother. Yeah. It's our brother.
I'm Dave.
Yeah.
What's your name? Mustafa. Nice to meet you, Mustafa. Where are you from? Lebanon. Oh, I met some people in where were we, in Munich the other day. They didn't think that the earth was flat, but eventually.
Some do. Oh yeah, everywhere.
Yeah.
Even
everywhere.
My family, they don't believe in flat earth, but
yeah.
Most families don't. We're individuals, heads above the parapet, who have the ability to see something that most people can't.
Yeah.
But we're trying to tell people this because we think it's an important message that needs to get out there, because eventually the human race will learn enough to hopefully take its divinity back, take control back.
In the beginning, I start to convince the people that we live in big lies. But you always you get attacked. Many bad words,
Ego will attack you.
Ego, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They talk we are stupid. We are.
And you look so stupid, huh? And we all do, huh? So dumb.
Or we are crazy, or we are out of.
Because we don't believe the authorities.
They sit on the couch and turn on the National Geographic.
Talk to
friends and family because it upsets them.
Yes.
Yes.
At least I believe in flat Earth, and this is enough for me.
And you know you're not alone. You're not alone because there's plenty of us
I
now.
know, and this world, it's a big lie. It's not the globe. It's not. Everything is lie.
They are deceiving us,
Satellite,
of course.
everything.
Of course.
Sun,
Yes, brother Mustafa.
moon, everything
Yes.
is different.
Yes. Fantastic. Are you traveling on holiday or you work here now?
I'm working here actually. Yeah.
Okay.
I work in Luxembourg.
Okay.
You have application now.
Oh, there's a really handy
can
app
really
you can
see.
get on your mobile phone. It's called the Sun, Moon and Zodiac app.
Yeah.
It's available at the Play Store, Google Play and the App Store. Made by a guy called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, David Weiss, who makes it available for $3, I think. One of those dollars at the moment will go towards this tour. So do yourself a favor. It's a really useful app, and you can show it to friends. I don't necessarily say that's exactly how the world works, but it's a great way of depicting to people how it might be possible to live on a plane.
It's okay, it's filming me, don't worry. The media are in cahoots with everything else. It's all connected.
The media is the military. It's the government. The media is the military.
But who profits? Those controlling, because we can't rise up. We argue like this, and with people arguing.
Do you see what we achieved in the last 80 years?
I haven't achieved much in the last 80 years.
I have achieved a lot.
Have you?
Yeah.
You're taking the globe. You haven't achieved much.
Take a look. You can see us take a look. Like 80 years ago, everyone lived in shit because of the section.
Ben is busy with the guy. I'm going to leave him to it. I think the interesting thing you'll find about street activism is that conversations can go in so many different ways, and to an extent you can direct the conversation, but to an extent you're actually needing to go with the thoughts that the person is bringing to the table. It does make for some interesting interactions, and I think you've seen a few tonight. I had a guy shine a bright light in my face. It's like, don't do that, you know. Even that guy's slice barcade yesterday was pleasant enough. You know, he didn't do anything to be unpleasant, despite his obvious displeasure or discomfiture at having to actually speak face to face to someone who has stepped away from his religion. Friends, the earth is flat. Have you looked into this? You speak English? Okay. Turns out our government have lied to you. I'm busy filming myself. I'm on YouTube. About 70 people watching, 67 at the moment. Hit the thumbs up. There's only 37 thumbs up. Or the thumbs down if you don't like it. Let me tell you that I'm a 50-year-old man, and 5 years ago I discovered that there's a curvature formula for Earth. Curvature formula. Because if you live on a ball, you should be able to measure the amount that it bends down away from you. People say if you stand on a small island and you see the sea all around you and a ship leaves in any direction, the ship is going to go down. You see? The ship is going to go down. That's what they say. Why is that? Well, it's going down because it's going away and getting smaller, and perspective and angular resolution takes it away.
I
But
thought it would be in the sea. I mean,
But no, not sinking, not sinking, but going over the ball. You see, if we live on let's imagine it's a beach ball, and the top of the beach ball here in Europe, say, and we're going to sail to America, on the beach and watch the ship go away towards America. Cheers, bro. All the best, Mustafa. Nice to meet you. Thanks. And
I'm loving it.
Yeah, baby. And you go. The ship goes over the water's edge, over the edge of the horizon.
Okay.
And they say this is the evidence that we live on a ball because the ship is going over. So I say to people, there's a formula for the curving and the bending of this water. And they say in mainstream maths, 8 inches per mile squared. Per mile squared.
Okay.
Meaning that over the first mile it's 8 inches, but over the 10th mile it's 800 inches. And over the 100th mile it's 80,000 inches or 6,000 feet. Over 100 miles. This canal, it's 100 miles long and provably level. So we say water is level. All water is level. Therefore all sea is level. Common sense, expansion. It means that our Earth is 70% water and 70% level. We cannot make a ball. You think you live on a ball? still think that? You don't? Good. You think you're...
I know, on board, yes.
You're bored.
Yes.
So the formula, the maths for calculating that is 8 inches per mile squared. Okay? So think about that. If a ship is leaving your harbor and going to a harbor 100 miles away, it's going to go down 6,000 feet. Down, 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 down. When it gets to the other harbor, is it going to come up? Or is it also going to seem like it's going down when it leaves that harbor? Ask yourself that question and realize that actually it's possible that we've been lied to, that gravity, which is only a theory, has been used to deceive the human race and give them a new belief that we are from evolution, from monkeys, from space, that there are aliens that are going to come and run us, take us over, or there's asteroids that are going to wipe us out, and all these frightening and horrible things that make us less important. And actually what all the scriptures, or all the different books, the texts say that God created this place perfect for us. And we might be the creator, or we might be a piece of the creator. That this place should have you at the top, at the apex, at the top of the pyramid, not at the bottom of the pyramid.
So you think the Earth is it's not round?
We think that water is level. Yeah, we think that water is level and that sea is level. So that means that our Earth must be level. We see when we fly in a plane, we look at the cloud bank and we see the cloud bank is level as far as the eye can see.
Okay.
Yeah. When we look at the gases in a container, we find that the thinnest gases they settle in strata, level.
Do you have proof?
Of what? Of water being level. Well, we have proof that water is level. We can do laser experiments. We've done a lot of these laser experiments where we fire a laser over 30, 40 meters, miles over water. And we can see that laser from the other side. And the only way we could see that laser would be as if we had a line of sight. Okay. For another example for you on the same thread is that the American military use a laser to fire a weapon called the railgun. The railgun fires at Mach 15 very fast. It uses a magnet to fire this projectile 100 miles straight line to another ship over water. Let's say it's 10 foot, 20 foot off the water and it's going to fly 100 miles in a straight line. If we lived on a ball at 100 miles, that ship should be 6,000 feet below the ship that fired the target, meaning that projectile would have to do this. But it's not doing this. It's a matter of fact, it's a laser and a thing shooting in a very straight line. That's all it is. So with that evidence alone, I say to you that we can see naturally, physically, and test that water is always level. So when does it become a ball? If we can't measure it, we have to rely on NASA to prove it. Because NASA and other space agencies are the only people that can get high enough to say, oh, now we can see this ball, right? Well, I saw this documentary called A Funny Thing Happens on the Way to the Moon. You check out this documentary on YouTube, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, and you'll see NASA footage showing them faking the moon landings, proving that they never got the lunar lander to work on Earth, showing that the boys, when they come back from the mission, they look nervous, they look guilty. They don't answer the questions clearly. Some say, I see stars, some say, I can't see stars. Let me tell you, if the four of us went to the moon, we were the first humans to go to the moon, we'd come back, we'd be like a Formula One champion, just won 10 Formula Ones in a row. Wow. And I would tell the same story as you. Remember when we went past this and we went past this? We'd be doing exactly the same thing. But if we were going to win the Formula One, not only that, we would take a camera and film it for our family and say, look, this is me winning the Formula One. Believe me, because you can see the film. You know what NASA did? They took a car, like a Formula One car, up to the moon, but they forgot to take the camera. They didn't bother to take a camera that could point back at the Earth and say, look, there's your Earth spinning from space, in space. They didn't do that. They took a photograph, still photograph, but NASA fanboys will say they couldn't afford to take a video camera there. They didn't have the weight, the space, but they took golf clubs. They took a shooting buggy. You see, tell me, when you start to unpick the business of NASA, you realize that NASA is actually just another extension of the government. The government is just designed to control your mind. And how do they do that? They do that with Disney, they do that with science fiction, and now they do that with things like NASA and Elon Musk to get us to believe that we are not important, that we only came here by a lucky chance, rather than we designed this place for ourselves to have a divine experience, but we've become slaves. Some evil, whatever you want to call it, some negative force has taken control of this place, uses kings, queens, popes, governments, science to control us, to keep our minds small, to keep our souls from ever lighting up like they're meant to. Like we're meant to be this divine, beautiful, like loving one another, having this awesome experience, but instead they turn us into like football players who want to like beat everybody else, or be the richest kid in town, or drink the most, or smoke the most, or go gambling the most, or do whatever, you know, rather than becoming like these divine beings of God, these divine creations. That's why I say it matters, why I'm out here trying to tell people it's not just about flat earth, it's about the soul that is you and the divinity that you carry within you, but that's been hidden by religion, by science. All right.
Thank you. So you have a channel on YouTube?
I have a channel called Trinity 4. I have a channel called Trinity and the number 4. And I am only, small guy channels-wise. So there's lots of great channels out there. I'll give you some references. Go and do some science yourself. Thank you very much. Trinity 4, there you go. That's me. Yeah. Thank you. But on the back there is some websites and some YouTube channels. Guys doing great science where you can go and say, let me check the science for myself. What can I experiment? Guys are doing tests with the moon, for example, and they're proving that the moonlight is cold, that the moonlight is cooling water, and the shade of the moonlight, the water is warmer. This doesn't make sense according to the idea that it's reflecting the and all this sort of stuff. So you go and look at these things and say, okay, what can I test for myself? What about the one where I look for the moon is doing this as it rolls through the sky every night? And if you're very patient and you watch it over a few hours, you will see it do this. I see it do this. And I was never taught this. And you start to say, shit, why didn't they teach us that? What else about the moon don't we know? Well, at new moon, we don't see the moon. Mainstream science says we don't see the moon for 10 hours before and 10 hours after the new moon. If it was truly a rock, you would silhouette it as it moved in front of the sun, or you would see this rock, just black rock. You'd be able, with our Hubble telescope or whatever, you'd be able to say, I can see this black rock 2,000 miles across. I can see it moving through the shadow of the sun, in front of the sun. We can't see it for 10 hours either side. Why not? Perhaps it's not a rock. Maybe it's just a light. Maybe it's all electromagnetic.
From another side.
If
you are here,
yes.
in the morning, you see it. But if you are in Japan, you can...
Well, would you believe that you can see the moon for 2 weeks of the month? You can see it in the daytime as well as the nighttime for 2 weeks of the month. This is a matter of fact. And when you see it in the daytime, the shadow of the moon is the same color as the sky, which is another crazy thing, right? But no, when I'm saying is the new moon. So you got the full moon coming up, but when in 2 weeks' time, when it's the new moon, no scientist, no matter how big their telescope, can show you the moon for 10 hours before that new moon and 10 hours after. The next day, yes, we see the little crescent moon, the little bit of moon starts to come. But what I'm saying is that if it was a rock and it was going in front of the light called the sun, then it should be we should see the silhouette. We should see the stone, dark black stone moving in front of the sun, but we cannot see that. So I don't think it is anything they've told us. This material world of rocks floating in space, bollocks. I think that we're electromagnetic. I think that we're divine. We're the most important thing, but our government never wants us to know that. They want to keep you as small so that maybe, I don't know, maybe, okay, you die, you retire, and you haven't achieved anything fantastic. But more importantly, that when you die, you have to maybe come back even. I don't know. I'm just offering you a thought. But this is just food for your own brain to work through in your life and say, what works right for me? Because I'm not here to convert you to anything. I'm here to alert you that you've been deceived. That's all, my brothers. My name is Dave, Trinity 4. Have a fantastic life. You're welcome. All the best. Thanks for your time. Good night. Bye-bye. Hey, brother. That was really nice stuff, huh?
I feel so immediately
pumped up. Pumped up, charged up. Jack the Transporter. Earth is flat. Earth is flat, my friends. Take some information. You're going on an airplane. Airplanes fly level. Airplanes fly level over a plane. We cannot... No, sorry, you're right up close there. I thought you were... Sorry for all that. You're having a look at my neck. Very unprofessional. Unprofessional. Yeah, no, nice one, Jack. Sorry, I thought I was filming you there, but I was filming my face. People are having a look at my scarf or something. Here's Jack. He did an awesome repair job on our camper van today. Thanks for that, mate. And there's Jill.
Yeah, a little late.
Yeah, that's why we were a little late, and now we're streaming in the dark. My friends, the Earth is flat. Die aarde is flush. Die aarde is flush. Is that right? Have I still got that right, German? Flach. Die Erde ist flach, not Fleisch. Die Erde ist flach.
Which one of them is the Luxembourg flag?
The Luxembourg flag.
Wasn't that down here somewhere?
I think so. It would be this one here. I think this is
Oh my God.
That's Luxembourg flag. But the Luxembourg flag is still give me this one here.
There's a conversation brewing. Oh, that's Roxanne having a conversation. Oh yeah, they got a flyer. Also flat. Look into it. All right, girls. All right. All right. The Earth is flat, my brother. The Earth is flat. The Earth is flat. The Earth is flat. Die Erde ist flach. 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 Flat. Earth is flat, not a ball. Your science is a lie. Your governments are cheating you of the truth you are and what you are. Your divinity is unquestionable.
So these images are
Yeah.
representations.
Sorry, you don't want to be on camera. I can tell. I can tell. Camera shy. That's all right. Hey guys, I want to thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate your participation in the chat room. As normal, I don't look at the chat very often, mainly because my brain needs to focus on the thing. Good evening, friends. I've got some information for you. The Earth is flat. We've been lied to about who and what we are and where we are. I contend to you that the water is always level. Water always needs to be contained and will not form on the outside of any shape, let alone a spinning ball. So that they give us gravity, which is a form of magic, to say that that's how water can conform to the outside of a ball. We can't test that for ourselves in a physical way. Water will always need to be contained, and when we settle it, it becomes level and parallel with every other body of water on Earth. We've discovered that NASA lied to us about going to the moon. They are also lying about being in low Earth orbit with the International Space Station. These things can all be picked up when you've got enough time and energy to look into that. It may all be a trick to hide from you the truth about who and what you are. That you may well be the spark of the Creator, you may well be divine and should be having a sort of top of the pyramid experience rather than being somewhere near the bottom. That's my thesis for you. I wish you well. Have a good life. You too. All of the best. Don't forget, the Earth is flat. So, the Earth is flat, my friends. The Earth is flat. I just nodded at Mr. Policeman there. He gave me a surly look, like, "Hey, I in charge. You're just the flat Earth sheriff." Someone who was a dick or someone. No, Broadsword. Was it you, Broadsword, who said, "Dave, the flat Earth sheriff"? Ha ha! I quite like it. Earth is flat, my dear. Earth is flat. Take a flyer. Free your mind. Free your mind. Earth is flat. Take a flyer. Some information. You know the Earth is flat.
No, I don't know. No.
You know. You can't live on a globe. Globes do not float. Do not hold water. Your science.
Hello, here people. I'm here. I'm from Morocco.
You're from Morocco?
I'm in Luxembourg.
Okay, I'm from South Africa.
That's good.
Yeah, you know what? I was in Spain.
In the same continent.
Yeah, continent. Yeah. Now, so hear me, my brother, from the same continent.
Yeah.
I was in Spain one time and I could see Morocco. They tell us we live on a ball that should have 8 inches of curvature per mile squared.
On north of Morocco.
Yeah. Only north, on the coast. Yeah. But they say we live on a ball. It's because water is always level. When you see a ship go away, 5 miles it goes away. But if you go up higher, you can see it more. If you go up higher, you can see it more. Yeah, over level water, flat water. So we say Earth is 70% flat water, and therefore the whole of water is flat.
They like beach here in the north or in Spain.
Beaches.
No, not beaches.
No, not bitches. Yeah, we're not bitches. Beaches.
Yeah. Beach.
Yeah,
I speak well.
Yeah. No, your English is fantastic. Though.
Yeah.
But please take this flyer. Do some research for yourself. Free your mind, because you, my friend, my brother, are meant to be at the top.
Thank you.
There's no government.
See you later.
No religion.
have a good night.
Have a good life.
Thank you.
Cheers, bro. The Earth is flat, my lady friends. The Earth is definitely flat. Have you heard that? Here's a flyer, some information for you to take away. I'm filming myself, but I will film you. You speak any English? Do you speak English? No, I don't speak English. No, but you know NASA? NASA, you know NASA? They never went to the moon.
Yes, I know.
You know they never went to the moon. Okay, they faked that. What about the International Space Station? You know that? Also,
this is true. I
you
would
think?
say this is true.
Okay, well we can see. We've analysed all the footage of their spacewalks. We see bubbles coming off their helmet, like they're in the practice swimming pool, and they use like a green screen at the back to make it look like they're in space, like Sandra Bullock in the movie Gravity.
Ah, yeah. Gravity, on a vu Gravity. Le film. Ah oui, Gravity.
Yeah, it makes it look like they're in space. But that's not. Sandra Bullock wasn't in space. Yeah. Same with the International Space Station. They do their spacewalks in a swimming pool, and they do their zero gravity with harnesses, like a circus clown, like a circus. Yeah. So they are not really going into space. You cannot get in space. Do you know thermodynamics? The laws of thermodynamics. You know. A deodorant can or a canister of pressure, under pressure. You have to contain that pressure, because if you break that container, it all equalizes straight away. So we say there can't be like a zero pressure, like
no gravity.
Yeah. Well, we got pressure here of our atmosphere, and then we got.
Parce qu'elle a dit que le jaune n'a pas allé à la Lune. Oui. Et aussi la station de... Comment on dit?
International Space Station?
International, il n'existe pas. D'accord.
Yeah, it's not real.
Tu comprends ça?
No, I wish I did, but no, I'm sorry I don't. But some websites that you should look at. There's a documentary called 200 Proofs Earth is Not a Ball.
Tu as vu le documentaire de la Lune, non? Comme la Lune n'existe pas.
200 Proofs.
C'est un complot. Complot? Enfin, je te parle. Oui, j'ai vu.
What did she say?
There was a documentary about the moon.
Yeah.
That it's not real. That it's just an asteroid.
Oh. Okay. No. We think the moon is just a light in the sky.
It's
light.
Not bright.
It's not a rock.
A planet.
We say that things can't float in space.
Wow. What is with the...
Well, we don't know that space is real, so we don't think that the Earth is floating on anything. I don't know how it works. But the idea that it floats, no, we can't prove that. No, only using NASA. NASA go to the moon, they say, look, there's the Earth spinning. But they don't take a video. They only take a picture, one picture. They say, one picture, there you go, that's all you need. But if you wanted to prove to me that I was on a spinning ball and our only way was to go to the moon and take a picture, then video. Yeah? They take a video and they go, shh, look, there you go, the Earth is turning slowly through space. But they never did that.
Okay. Désolée, hein.
Uh-huh.
Difficile. Parce qu'elle dit que la Lune n'existe pas, c'est seulement
la Lune, elle existe.
Lumière, yeah, there you go, lumière.
C'est pas
That's
une
all.
lampe.
Yeah, like a lamp, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit full moon, yes.
Ok. La Lune n'est pas une planète?
Non.
No planète.
Aussi, la Terre n'a pas la planète.
Mercury, Mars, they're lumière. Mercury, Mars, Venus.
Une navette spatiale?
I see, but with a telescope, we always see is a light. But with a telescope with a computer in it, when they use a telescope with a computer, it makes it look like it's a planet. But actually, all we see is a light.
Tu dis la Lune et que la Lune, tu dis une navette habitée par des extraterrestres.
Non, elle dit que c'est seulement la lumière. C'est pas.
Yeah, that's all. A light, and it's just doing pretty light. That's all that we see. Energy, some form of energy. Energy, but not a rock.
Are you sure?
Well, I mean, from our observations, it seems that way. For what we can see with our own eyes and a powerful camera, we can see this, right? If you look up, if you use these resources that I've offered you here in this flyer, you will see evidence that we are gathering of how these things might work and how it might be. But the idea that a rock can float in space, no. We don't buy that anymore. Gravity, no. Just because the apple will fall to the floor does not mean rocks can float in the space.
But how does it work then?
We say that it might be, this is a theory, not for sure, but a theory that it's electromagnetic. like a torus field, and everything is like turning slowly like this, like a torus field. Before Einstein, there was a guy called Nikola Tesla. And Nikola Tesla, we live, and other scientists used to say, we live inside of an ether, an electromagnetic soup, an ether. And that ether is just turning slowly with the roof, the sky above us. The sun and the moon, they're separate lights and they move every day across the sky. But that we could be floating around, going around the sun, and the sun is going through the galaxy through the milk, through the Earth. No. This is all science fiction. This we cannot show.
This doesn't really change our lives here.
Okay, that's a good question. Yeah, my wife said the same thing for 2 years. What difference does it make? What difference does it make? Well, firstly, if it made no difference, why would they go to all to lie? Why would they go to the trouble to invent this globe that isn't real? If it's true that they did lie, why would they do that? There must be some big reason, not just simply to make you into a slave, but actually to hide from you the truth about who we are. Actually, we might be the creator, the creation, we might be the very top, we the king and the queen of this place, but a few people or a few negative energies have tried to steal us that truth so that they can be the king and queen over you. That they can be your government, they can be your master, they can tell you what to think, they can tell you what to do, they can tell you what to be. And eventually, after a few generations of this, people called Stockholm Syndrome, they start to love their captivity and they're willing to go, yes, master, no, master. Now, we may not want to call each other master, but we still go, oh, yeah, you must vote for the next master that's going to be chosen by the clubs, or you must listen to what the scientists are saying about evolution. And they say, I used to teach my older children this, they say we came from monkeys. And I used to believe that I was just an evolved animal, rather than actually something far more divine, something far more special than simply a simple monkey. It's a lot to take on. But you explain to your friend over the next few days what I've just been trying to.
She can check. All you say about the space, about
the universe. Well, yeah.
It is on.
It's all in here. Information is in there. I got a YouTube channel called Trinity 4. Trinity 4, the number 4. Trinity, yeah. Mind, body, and soul. The mind, body, soul. The three. Trinity 4.
Trinity 4.
Trinity 4. You can write it down. Yes, I don't have a pen, unfortunately, but if you've got a pen, please write it down. Check out I talk about this stuff. I'm traveling around Europe at the moment, sharing this information with people.
You inform.
Yes.
You explain.
Yes, but I'm not selling anything, and I'm not offering any belief system. I'm saying that we might be the most special thing here, and until we realize that we've been about this world, about the control and so on, then we're never going to take our own power. We're never going to realize our own power, our own divinity, our own light. So I offer this to you with love and with hope that you can empower your own life. And honestly, my friend, it really does matter. It really matters. Trinity 4 and the number 4. Yeah, Trinity 4. Trinity 4. That's my channel name.
Okay.
For YouTube. Trinity 4. My name is Dave, but that's how you find me on YouTube. And no, I'm here with my friends. There's Jack, there's Lisa and Roxanne. We're traveling around Europe at the moment, just talking yesterday, Germany.
Cards too, for radio stations or app?
There's an app here, which is fantastic. This Paul on the plane is brilliant. He's got great information, evidence and stuff like that. And then this app is really useful for understanding how the Earth might work. And there's good resources on there too. So I recommend that as research. Free your mind, free your heart, free your soul, and empower your life so that this one is the best it can possibly be.
Like this.
Yeah.
For example,
possibilities are endless, and it's all beautiful, and we're meant to raise our vibration, because in this world it wants to keep us low, keep us at war, keep us hungry, keep us chasing the job, chasing the money, chasing this, that, and the rest, yeah, rather than finding nature again and finding our higher spirit and our higher vibration. And if we can do the latter and find the higher vibration, then we will, I think, achieve what we're meant to on this earth and not be held back in Sodom and Gomorrah, in the dark and unhappy places. Okay. So nice to have met with you. My hands are cold. I do apologize for that.
Yes.
They're rather cold. Sorry about that. Lovely to have met you. Have a super life. A super. Bye-bye. Thank you. Well, thanks for hanging in there. And I see there's 50 old thumbs up. That's nice to see. Oh, hey, who we got here? We've got someone important coming in to town. They're taking pictures. So let's go and have a picture. Who's that? Some important. The earth is flat! The earth is flat! Hey, Jason. Number two. This is number 2. This must be someone important. But they heard me say the earth is flat. The earth is flat. Hello, my brother. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming. I guess there's some dignitaries thing. This is an important local building here.
Oh, I see.
Who's that?
Thank you very much.
Who was that?
A son, a grand duke, a son, his son, her son.
Right.
I think the name's her.
Right. Hassan Hussein. Hassan,
a grand duke.
the Grand Old Duke of York. He had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill, and he marched them down again. When they were up, they were up. When they were down, they were down. When they were neither halfway up, they were neither up nor down. Now, I think that might be the story of us. And what they do is they fuck with us. They march us up the hill, and we get there, they turn us around, they march us down. And then they march us halfway up, we're neither up nor down. And that's what they do. They just fuck with us. They mess with our kind of life, keep us busy, running up the hill, down the hill. Poor, rich, crisis, non-crisis, whatever. This is the dialectic, and this is the nature of the beast. Don't hate it, but learn to love and despite it, because it's not going away anytime soon. You, on the other hand, this one life right now to make something different, make it different, make the vibration work differently. And eventually, maybe the dukes go away, but I'm not trying to be investing in that kind of thing. It's all about you and your divinity.
I speak for.
But when I told
Thank
him
you.
about Captain, he said to me,
My friends, the earth is flat. I've got some information on that. Please take this away. The earth is flat. We've been lied to about where we live. We do not live on a spinning ball. Spinning balls do not float. Balls do not hold water to them on the outside. We know that with the natural physics of water must be contained in a cup, in a pool, in a lake. I think that NASA has faked space from the moon landings to the ISS. Elon Musk is just an actor designed by the CIA to make you think that we're going to go to Mars one day. I, at the age of 45, told my dying mother that there's no such thing as God, and I'm looking forward to finding life on Mars. The truth is, Mars is just a light. We've never been to space. Space is fake. You are far more important. God is real, and God is probably within you. No religion, just you. I believe I can fly under a ball that would crush your eye. Yeah. It's interesting, hey, isn't it? Different places, different strokes and folks. Because, we in other towns, we would have been beaten. And in the case of Adam Meakin, had our balls torn from our body, almost, because of standing around here. So I'm not bringing out the mega horn like I did at the Colosseum. I'm not looking to rile them up, but they are letting us be here, which is nice, and we appreciate it. And some important, well, relatively speaking, important character has been brought into the square. It's Roxanne and Jason, who surprised us yesterday in Frankfurt. They brought Sven out to join us on the tour. They'll be with us, I think, Paris tomorrow. So hopefully you guys will come and join us down at the Eiffel Tower. We're going to go and give some fellow humans a dose of truth. Thank you for stopping by. This old man's taking a flight. That's nice to see. Hi guys. Do you speak English? You don't? You sure? Can I speak English? Oh, you speak Espanol?
Español, sí.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I don't speak Spanish. That's unfortunate. We're going to Spain in a few days, actually, on tour. We're going around Europe just telling people that they've been lied to about the world they live in. My friends, the earth is flat. You've been lied to about where you live. Take some information. Free your mind. Free yourself from the prison that your mind has been born into. I could do with some water myself, actually. Hey, buddy, what's cooking? Is that a coffee you got carrying there?
You want coffee?
Well, I have a sip. Your coffee, if you've got any left. Oh, what the fuck?
I'll get it for you.
Oh, cheers, buddy. I don't know. Well, if you are going to get a coffee,
yeah, I'm going to get it for you.
Please make it strong, though. Not milk. Not too much milk. Only a little milk.
I know.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, piano milk. I hope this is useful for you. As I was saying to Roxanne earlier on, I think that some of this is edifying in terms of how we have conversations with each other, with our families. Around the water cooler. Hi guys, the earth is flat. Have you heard that? Earth is flat. We've been lied to about where we live. We discovered a few years ago that there's a curvature formula for the earth. It's 8 inches per mile squared. We can't measure that. Water is level. So we say that if the earth is 70% water, how can it be a ball? Water is level, doesn't make a ball. That means that NASA is faking space. NASA.
Yeah, NASA.
In fact, they never went to the moon. And the ISS, International...
So you are saying that it's not true?
It's not true?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm saying we didn't go to the moon. We didn't go to the moon. There's a documentary that you can see on YouTube that shows how they were faking it.
So you have a YouTube channel? Or?
I do, yes. My YouTube channel is called Trinity 4. And I'm going around Europe telling people that they've been lied to about where they live. Not only about where they live, but actually who we are. We are not from evolution. We are not from Big Bang. We are monkeys. We are perfectly created by the Creator. We are part of the Creator. The creation is this, you, me, and all of everything that's in it is the creation. And we are equally part of that creation. But we've been sold this lie.
I think that we are, I'm so sorry
That's
for
all right.
interrupting you,
No?
but I think actually we share the same
View?
view
Yeah.
as you. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. That we're not
yeah,
from...
We believe that we are.
Okay.
Me, personally, I believe that we
Perfect. Well, that's awesome. That and when you look, it says in the Bible, when you look in the mirror, you see God. You see, God created you in God's image.
Yeah, it depends on people's
Belief. Yes, yes. So I've been trying to move away from having too many beliefs. I think that there's a creator, but for me, I had a ayahuasca experience where I had my pineal
I
gland.
just have one question.
Yes.
There is a video that you are taking.
Yes.
It's gonna be
On YouTube. You don't mind to be on YouTube? Oh, okay. Well, I will.
No, please.
Okay, I'll film me. Okay, I turn it around so that it's filming me. Look.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. We don't want it.
That's okay. Where are you from? Tunisia.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, lovely country, beautiful country, lovely weather. Are you here on holiday?
No, we are living
Work.
here.
Yeah,
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 we are
yeah.
living
In Paris.
Oh, okay. I'm going to Paris tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
We are living in 2 hours.
2 hours from Paris. Okay. Well, you're leaving in 2 hours to go to back.
You are living actually in Paris. We are
Yes.
living
Okay.
in Paris.
Okay.
Yeah, in Paris.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about Paris is that you can go to the top of the Eiffel Tower and you can see for on a clear day for 100 miles. Yeah. And as far as you can see, everything looks level. The same is true if you go over bodies of water. As far as we see, everything looks level. So we say there's one sea level on Earth. And all the heights above sea level are determined from this one average sea level. So if you're 100 meters above sea level in America and 100 meters above sea level in France, then you're at the same height on Earth because it's all one level. And then, so what does this mean? It means that our science is powerful enough, or our governments are powerful enough to teach us science that is lies. Evolution, Big Bang, globes, aliens, life on Mars, all of this sort of stuff.
It's not replies, but maybe they are just suggestions. They are based on studies. So they go from an idea
Yeah.
and they try to develop it.
Yeah.
And we are trying until we are continuing to trying to looking for the truth.
Okay. I used to say exactly the same thing, but then but back then I used to trust NASA. I used to trust science.
In NASA, they are doing researchers, and so they did not prove nothing, but they are looking for the truth.
Okay, but did you say that you don't think they went to the moon, or did I misunderstand
I
you?
don't know.
Okay.
I think that no one can say if it's true or that no one of us
Can be sure. Well, there's a really good documentary that I'd like to refer you to on YouTube.
I would love to know the name of your YouTube channel actually.
Yeah, it's Trinity 4.
Yeah.
TRINITY, and then the number 4, Trinity 4. That's my YouTube channel. But there's a great documentary that really helped me get to this, because 5 years ago I thought that we went to the moon. But I saw this.
On your YouTube channel?
It might be actually, but I'm not very good at kind of administration, so it might not be on my channel. But it's called. It's not my documentary. It's had millions of views. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon. If you watch this documentary, it's NASA's own footage of them faking the moon landings. Now, if you establish that these agencies have faked something that important and they've continued that lie for 50 years, then they could be faking other things too. And when you look at this evidence, that their spacesuits have never been tested in a vacuum chamber here on Earth. You think that if you're going to go into a spacesuit, into the vacuum of space, then you better test it in a vacuum chamber, right? Make sure it works. They've never done that. They've never put a man in that, because they can't build something that would protect us inside of a vacuum chamber. That's the truth.
In the video that you talk
about,
they have proof for what you are talking about?
Yes, they have NASA's own footage of them faking it, pretending to be NASA. Neil Armstrong and stuff like that show. Well, Neil Armstrong, they're showing how they're trying to create the image of the Earth being far away and small through the window. They show how they're doing that. But in terms of science, they used to tried the French scientists back in the 1800s were doing experiments to try and prove that the Earth is spinning, and they couldn't prove that the Earth is spinning. It always comes back with it seems like the sky is moving. That's what, and so they don't show us those experiments. But something that you and I can test for ourselves is water. That we can take a laser or a light at 1 meter, 2 meters off the water, and a friend who's standing 1 meter, 2 meters off the water, miles away, can see that light. But they say that should be under 60 foot of curvature. There's no way you should be able to see that light. That's a test that we can do. The Suez Canal is 100 miles long, 120 miles long. And then we know that that's a level body of water. If it wasn't, they'd have to stop the water with locks to stop it rushing down to the bottom, to the low point. So we know that physically water is level. We know that we sense that we're not moving. So we're like, okay, you want us to believe that because NASA say they went to the moon and got a picture of the Earth from space, which they couldn't have done, we want us to believe that we live on a ball? No, it's not enough. So I've started to unpick all of the beliefs I had in all the government institutions, all the education that I was given, and started to learn the science again for myself, test things for myself. Other people are doing great experiments or taking expensive cameras and filming the stars, filming ships over 20, 40, 50 miles away. One guy's got an infrared camera, and he's taken photos from a plane of mountains 500 miles away, which should be under 20 miles, 40 miles of curvature. Nobody should see anything at that distance if we live on a ball. So no, we've started to unpick this.
It seems a little bit logic.
It's all about logic. It's all about stepping away from belief in things like theories that says gravity says this falls to the ground. That means the water is going to sit on the underside of the ball. No, that's not that. We can't demonstrate that for ourselves.
I just have to ask you a question. You are a scientist, or?
I'd like to think that I'm a scientist.
Okay.
I mean, have I been to a university and had a degree in science? No. I haven't, but I've done much more research, and I've met many scientists on the street. In fact, in San Marino the other day, a friend, Adam and me, we were talking to some European Space Agency people. And they came and had all these questions for me. And eventually they went away angry because they can't answer the stuff that I'm asking them. Demonstrate what is the science that shows, the best answer about that to prove that, I said, what experiment can you give me that I can do that proves that the Earth is spinning? The sun moves over my head. That's all they got. Now, is it the sun that's moving or is it me that's moving? And it's very easy to kind of, it could be one or the other. But that's not an experiment, that's an observation. How do we make an experiment that shows that we're spinning? We cannot. So we have to take old science. My battery's running out. My battery's about to run out, so I'm going to have to end the stream. I don't know what I've done with my battery pack. But we have to take old science and take their word for it. Cheers, buddy. I've just got a coffee brought to me. So I'm going to end the stream. I want to say thank you guys because I can tell you're listening, and I'm sure that you're hopefully going to do some research. And if you have children one day, or if you raise them with this truth, the truth about who we are and how important we are, not the government, not the scientists, but you, because you're as smart as any scientist. This idea that because they can do the maths and they got A in class and whatever. No.
We are intelligent as humans. We are intelligent enough to try to look for the truth.
Yes, discern the truth and discover in our hearts exactly how to be with each other and how we should be with ourselves to get our higher self out of this life and not stuck in some low. We're just monkeys and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been lovely talking to you.
I would like to thank you, and I hope that you don't.
Live streaming. I'm doing a live stream. Yes, 60 people were watching at the moment.
No problem.
I'm sorry, but have a great life. Thank you. Thank you. All the best. Go well. Guys, I'm running out of battery and I don't know where my battery pack is, so I'm going to call the stream time. There is other people filming, streaming. Go to Jason's channel, Jason the Disbury. I see Roxanne is streaming, so there's plenty of other conversations to go and watch from here. I've had a good day here in Luxembourg. And it looks like the irrepressible Jack has had a fantastic day too. So this is us right outside some beautiful building in Luxembourg. Tomorrow is Paris. I'll see you hopefully see you at the Hangout show later on, the catch-up show later on. It's been good. It's been cold, but we've had some great conversations, and I'm sure we've influenced some people, changed some lives. Thank you all for stopping by. Thanks for your thumbs up. Much love, and don't forget, we are the center of creation. We are the divine spark of this creator, or whatever it is. Religion, hopefully, no beliefs, just all love. We come from love. Let's go love. Be well.